Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? Tuesday has been good. At least so far. At least so far. No, I haven't checked something in a very long time. Let me, oh, nice. Okay, cool. That's good. What about bass? Drop the bass. Yeah, that looks good too. Damn, nothing extra, nothing. Just, what is this cat doing right now? It just came in and he's demanding attention and pets. I'm starting to scream, baby. I'm starting to scream, baby. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Oh my god, this cat, I'm gonna eat him. I'm gonna eat you. Wait, what is on your... There. What was that? Okay. Will you ever pre-watch the video? I don't pre-watch the videos, goddammit, video. I'm gonna have to lay down the law. The law, chat. Here we go.
My lord, I have journeyed far to pledge my fealty to you. I have slain many a foul beast, many a geese running through the geese were absolutely out of control. Many fell to my blade. They have those long, slender necks, pretty easy to take out. I didn't eat any of them. I don't like eating geese. It's sort of gamey. But enough about that. I'm here, and I will do whatever you want. I will kill whoever you want. I will slay whatever geese may run afoul of you. Pun intended. But enough about that. What were you saying?
I didn't say shit, man. I didn't say shit. How many geese did you kill on the way to the castle?
60, 70,000.
So.
There are no more geese in these lands, for I have taken them all out in your name. And I shouted,
In my name?
Lord Kilbington, I said, for Kilbington!
Oh, God damn it, there's an angry mob outside.
It's fucked up what he did.
Peasants?
Yeah?
I'm handling it.
You're welcome.
Oh, there he
God
is.
damn it.
Mark, this is good news. We can finally we can be bees. This isn't your world, but we can be bees. This is good news. You can be a bee. You'll live like a bee. A pet.
A pet?
A pet. Mark, this is good news. You'll live for 30 years.
This is insane.
You got anyone you want to call out in the heavyweight division?
Oh, you know it, lad. You know that Hassan Piker? I'm coming to kill you in Los Angeles at your house.
Or in the ring?
No, in real life. I'm going to stalk him and become obsessed with him and wear his makeup and his dresses and use his skin as a coat like the ancient Irish did.
Well, that's your winner, Sam. Hey!
Bloody.
Do you smell it? That smell. The kind of smelly smell. A smelly smell that smells smelly. Anchovies.
And now, the nations of the world who hate Johnny, presented by Eva. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, and Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobago, San Juan, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, and French Guiana, Barbados, and Guam. Norway and Sweden and Iceland and Finland and Germany now one piece. Switzerland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Turkey and Greece. Poland, Romania, Scotland, Albania, Ireland, Russia, Oman. Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Cyprus, Iraq and Iran. There's Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, both Yemen, Kuwait and Bahrain. The Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium and Portugal, France, England, Denmark and Spain. India, Pakistan, Burma, Afghanistan, Thailand, Nepal, and Bhutan, Cambodia, Malaysia, then Bangladesh, Asia, and China, Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Laos, and Tibet, Indonesia, the Philippine Islands, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, New Guinea, Sumatra, New Zealand, then Borneo, and Vietnam, Tunisia, Morocco, Uganda, Angola, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, Swaziland, Gambia, Guinea, Algeria, Ghana. Burundi, Lesotho, and Malawi, Togo, the Spanish Sahara is gone. Niger, Nigeria, Chad, and Liberia, Egypt, and Nina, Gabon, Tanzania, Somalia, Kenya, and Mali, Sierra Leone, and Algeria, Dahomey, Namibia, Senegal, Libya, Cameroon, Congo, Zaire, Ethiopia, Guinea-Bissau, Madagascar, Rwanda, Mayotte, and Cayman, Hong Kong, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Yugoslavia, Crete, Mauritania, then Transylvania, Monaco, Liechtenstein, Malta, and Palestine, Fiji, Australia, Sudan.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
Hello, everybody. How are we doing? This fine, fabulous, fantastic Tuesday. We have quite a few React slot videos to get to. And by React slot videos to get to, I mean we are going to produce reaction slot through these videos. Not actually reaction slot, but you know, I try to give my commentary through my life experiences and all. But let's be real. React content is not incredibly hard to do, right? Which is why we only have a once a week React stream, really. So, hello, everybody who's been chatting, which includes Mix Skittles, Isaac 13D, Festival, Vixen Lerv, aka King Sama, Ilaru Heime. I think I already know I did not. Francis Carmel, what's up? Embleon. Vejihan, Sikoti Suto, Disfantasy Frag, Grand Regent, welcome. Spooky Shoe? It's the Spooky Shoe. JP Ravenfire, welcome. Omega Zero. all the people who be chatting right now. Oh, the immortal Nosferatu Zod. How's it going? Eventually I'm just gonna, whoa. That's weird. Eventually I'm just gonna end up having to, I'm gonna have to do things. I'm gonna have to just learn to call Nosferatu Gizad, like Gizad. He has, his username is the immortal Nosferatu Zod. You got 4 words in your name, bro. You greedy. Brayden. Okay, look. I love them. I don't know how many people have seen Randy Filtface, but when I see Brayden, I think of the Randy Feltface skit where he's like, yeah, my cousin calls me, and the first thing she says, it's not hello or anything, she says, Brayden can't eat blow. First of all, don't call your kid Brayden. Second of all, how the fuck does he die just from having a blue food preservative? Anyway, welcome Brayden, Lion Bean, Agricola, Roderick Siege. And Hinsama, welcome back. I think you stepped out for just a second. We are going to be getting... by the way, I think it's fine to call your kids Brayden. It's just a joke. Don't cancel me. Ethel, how's it going? Alright, so we have 8 videos to be reacting to today, so we're going to get right on into it. Starting with an interesting thing that Mama Elko actually showed me. No, they actually gave me a link to it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna react to this today. The title of it is Bambu Labs threatened to send this developer to prison, so I'm hosting his code instead. Now, interesting thing about Bambu Labs. Bambu Labs is actually the company that produces the 3D printer that Mama Oko uses. So, Mama Oko's 3D printing company has somehow managed to get in drama. I swear that octopus cannot escape drama no matter if their life depended on it. Oh man. So, let's see what's going on in the land of, I'm betting it's some like 1201. Section 1201 bullshit. What is it? What is it? 1012? Shit, I'm forgetting it. I'm sure I'm forgetting it. Anyway, better than Keith. Who the fuck is Keith? Oh, you mean Brayden is a better name than Keith. That's actually true. Kevin is definitely up there as well in terms of bad name. No, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna bash people's names. I promise. Probably. Anyway, let's get rid of this fucking background music. We don't need that shit. And we do this. Get that curtain all lined up. Alright, chap, let's get this thing started on a Saturday night.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day.
What is
Welcome
up?
to today's episode of How Somebody Else is About to Get Effed. I'm your host, LouisRossmann. Today we're going to be continuing going over Bambu Labs. Bambu Lab is a company that makes 3D printers that make it a lot easier to get into 3D printing if you don't understand how everything works when it comes to 3D printing. And one of the things they did a year and a half ago...
That's the reason why Mama Oko has the Bambu Labs 3D printer. Like, one, I think they got it for free or for very cheap. And so obviously you're going to go with that. But two, it was supposed to be an introductory machine. So, the fact of the matter is this introductory machine utilized and relied on code that was open source. Now, for those who don't know, if you build your product based on open source code, and then you try to DMCA or otherwise control the rights to that code that you've based it on, you have violated the law. You violated what's known as the usage agreement of that open source code. Many companies have gotten in trouble with this before. So, is that vegan gains? What the fuck is a vegan gain? Or you could be like me and get the cheapest Chinese 3D printer known to mankind. GPL code to be specific. Eva, thank you. Thank you, Festiva, yes. I'm really kind of saying it like just like as an overarching thing, but yes, specifically it's GPL code.
that I went over in these videos is they added these authorization controls that did not exist when people bought the printers that limits how third-party software can work.
Festiva, remember we have a fucking delay, and I swear to God, if you lose your shit, I will slap your shit.
With the printers and limits what you're able to do with it. And this is something that pissed off a lot of people. They like the fact that it's a very easy to use ecosystem, but they don't like the fact that it was sold with this set of freedoms and now it has less. Anyway, there's something called Orca Slicer. It is a third-party slicer, and there are limitations put on how you can use it. For those of you who don't do 3D printing professionally, you go, what the hell is that? TLDR, a slicer is the thing that takes the really cool image and 3D model of what it is you want to make and tells the 3D printer how to make it. It's what makes the 3D printer go vroom. Now, many people wanted to use these third-party slicers, and they don't want to deal with Bambu Labs' authentication system. So someone came out with code that allows you to just use the 3D printer the way you...
Alright, Festiva is challenged by authority in my own stream. Mods, I need you to invert their penis.
were able to use it when you first bought it, which I think is great. And this developer received a message saying that it would then come with a cease and desist notice if he did not remove his code, along with what I perceive to be...
I'm sorry, they gave him a cease and desist? They actually gave... Okay, what the hell?
In my opinion, legal threats. And Bambu Lab also...
Look, a C&D is absolutely, more or less, a legal threat. Okay, yes, no, Louis is absolutely right here. They basically threatened him legally. Because all a cease and desist really is, hey, will you reach out to a company, a person, whatever the hell you want them to stop doing what they're doing, right? You reach out to them and go, hey, this is all the documentation of the behavior that I have a problem with you having, that I like you doing. And I'm asking that you stop and that we redress these grievances out of court. If you do not stop, change course, whatever, if you do not cease and desist, right? I am going to pursue legal action. And I'm going to cite the cease and desist document in my complaint, showing the judge and the courts that, hey, I tried to fucking settle this out of court. He was being a dick and I have no other recourse. That's the whole point of a cease and desist. So, in my opinion, a cease and desist is more or less a legal threat.
Invoked and mentioned Section 1201 of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act when they were sending this developer the threat. I was able to confirm this from the messages that I've seen. Section 1201 of the DMCA is a law that criminalizes the...
Yeah, 1201, yeah. Okay, I was right the first time.
...breaking of a digital lock, even if it's to fix something that you bought and paid for so you can use it again. This is the same law...
It really needs to be reformed. If not, that section just needs to be taken out. It's so retarded.
That gets used to sue ink cartridge manufacturers when they make ink cartridges that work with printers that have DRM in them. So when Lexmark wanted to make printers that would only work when you bought Lexmark ink, and somebody else figured out how to get around this, you could buy ink from people that are not going to rip you off and bend you over, they got sued. And they used this garbage law for that lawsuit. I despise this law, and it is a law that Fulu Foundation is dedicated to reforming in the United States. So they sent this notice out, and the developer took down his code. Now, I offered $10,000 if he put his code back up, and we had a good conversation back and forth, and he said, I'm not interested in a prolonged legal battle. I simply wanted to make the point that Bambu Lab is violating the GPL. What is a GPL? AGPL is a software license, and the way that this software license works is if I make a program using AGPL, that means that if anybody uses my code, they have to make my code available, they have to make their changes available for free.
And that is why Festival did correct me. It is the GPL code that we're talking about. I was talking too broadly, and I will admit that. I apologize.
They have to allow anybody to redistribute it and modify it in any way. So if I make closed source software, you don't have the right to the code to that software. But if I make open source software and you decide to use my software to make your software, you have to make the changes available. And if you don't like it, then you don't use my code. Bambu Labs chose to use...
that makes sense to me.
Use other people's code when making their software. And the code that they were using was AGPL. What that means is that when Bambu Labs uses that code to make their own software, they have to make elements of their own software available for anybody to use, redistribute, or modify. That's the law. That's the way it works. That's what they agreed to at the point that they used it. And what they tried to do is change this. So what...
Well, this is the issue, right? So I imagine Bambu Labs came out, they did this, and this guy, hold on. Sorry about that. We're having an issue with the swamp cooler.
Powell did to make things work the way they did before is he took Bambu Labs open source code. He took that AGPL code, he posted it to his repo and said, you can use this in order to use your printer again the way you did before. What Bambu Labs said is that he was impersonating something else and doing this in a deceptive manner. They tried to make it sound like what Pavel was doing was hacking and wrong. And I thought that this was absolutely hysterical. They were also claiming that this is against their terms of service, and they don't seem to understand how this works. This is a very, very oversimplified way of putting it. But when you use a web browser like Edge or Chrome or Safari or Firefox, there are websites that will be able to tell which web browser you are using because the web browser reports something called the user agent. That's kind of like its name. It's kind of like the make and model of a car. So when you use Safari, it will report Safari version this or Chrome version 50. That's the way it works. And Bambu's software is the same. So when he created his fork of this software so that you could use your printer the way you did before, he left in Bambu's own AGPL code that said the name of the software and the version of the software. He never even modified this part of the software. He literally reused Bambu's own AGPL code.
So you even left the licensing information inside the code. You didn't even try to fucking breach. Okay, wow.
It's under an AGPL license that allows anybody to be able to redistribute, modify, and use the code as they please. Bambu Labs said as follows. When this particular Orca Slicer 4 communicates with our cloud services, it quietly introduces itself as official Bambu Studio, with a hard-coded version number and all. That's precisely the point where code modification crosses into impersonation. Modifying and distributing AGPL code? Absolutely. But impersonating official clients in communication with our cloud infrastructure is not allowed. Now, this is interesting to me for a number of reasons, because he never actually modified the code. He's literally using Bambu Labs' own open source AGPL code without modifying it. And I link it right here in this wiki. He did not impersonate anything. He literally just used that software. Now, they're saying that their cloud is a private service and access to it is governed by a user agreement in terms of service, not an AGPL license. But they're not filing a takedown on anything related to their cloud service. They're filing a takedown notice on his AGPL code, which is literally a copy and paste of Bambu Studios' AGPL code. AGPL license code is licensed as follows, and I quote, "You may not impose any further restrictions on the exercise of the rights granted or affirmed under this license. All other non-permissive additional terms are considered further restrictions within the meaning of Section 10. If the program as you received it or any part of it contains a notice stating it is governed by this license, along with a term that is a further restriction, you may remove that term." AGPL license code means that anything you make from it cannot have further restrictions on it. That is the price if you want to reuse somebody else's open source code, and that's what they agreed to. Now, here's what the terms of use of Bambu's cloud say. Except as otherwise expressly permitted, you shall not, nor allow any other person to misappropriate, intrude, or make other inappropriate use of the product, included but not limited to modify, discoder, I think they mean disorder, but maybe that's a typo, copy, reverse engineer, publish, publicly disseminate, decompile, export codes, disassemble, or create derivatives of the product in any way. That's not how this works. They filed a takedown notice on a code library that is literally a copy and paste of Bambu Labs' own code. A Reddit user made a great analogy here. It's more like someone opened a gym on a public square and then decided to try to forbid people from using the public square. I can't open a gym in Union Square and then get people in trouble for trespassing on my gym that was built on somebody else's property. You can't do that. That's not how any of this works. The thing that I find the funniest about this is not only did they try to get the code taken down this way, they also tried to use Section 1201, which says you're not allowed to break a digital lock to gain access to a protected work. Here, you can't do that. There's no breaking of a digital lock here. There's not even a digital lock. It's literally he literally took your own software and then your cloud service just accepted it. If you want to sue somebody, you can sue yourself. But I'm going to give you a great opportunity here because you think that Section 1201 actually applies here. Section 1201 does come with a maximum penalty of up to 3 to 5 years in federal prison. And I understand why somebody else would not want to deal with that. So I uploaded the code to my own GitHub. If you want to check it out here. Now, if you're one of the lawyers for Bambu Labs, that one of the people that is stupid enough to take this fucking case, I sincerely hope that you are not taking this case on contingency, by the way. Please charge an hourly fee. But just in case you think that this is going to be an easy win, let me just introduce myself. Hi, my name is LouisRossmann. 10 years ago, Apple's law firm, Kilpatrick & Townsend, asked that I would remove my repair videos because they had schematics in them, and I never did. They've remained up for over the last 10 years. In Colorado, I was able to get a right to repair bill passed that John Deere was opposed to. We also got one passed for wheelchairs, In Minnesota, we were also able to get a right to repair bill passed. In Colorado, Cisco tried to ruin that bill along with IBM, spent several $100,000 trying to, and we won there. When I worked at Fudo, I recruited the team that creates an application called GreyJ, a third-party viewer that allows you to view YouTube videos and videos across all platforms. Google didn't like this. They sent a cease and desist to us. I responded to them, and GreyJ remains up to this day, and you can still download it. Another company wanted to sue me for about $10,000 a day. One day after my response, his lawyer fired him. If you think that you can do better than Apple, Google, Cisco, IBM, John Deere, and the entire medical industry, well, be my guest. You can try, but I don't think it's going to end very well for you. And here's a message that I have for Bambu Labs. If you so much as send me a fucking postcard, here's what I'm going to do to you. Number one, I'm going to hire the best lawyers to destroy your entire Section 1201 claim. We will make you look so bad that this will be part of the precedent that we use for reforming this law in the United States of America. Number two, AGPL violations. AGPL violations are when large companies use open source code that other people have made and they don't redistribute it or they place limits on it. That is against the license. John Deere has done this. Vizio has done this. Tons of companies do this because they realize that for the most part, the people that make code like this, the people that are just willing to help the community and make code that anybody can use and redistribute with no limits on it, they tend to be a little bit more socialistic-y, communist-y in nature. I'm not even saying that as a bad thing. My point is they're just not the type of people that have a lawyer on speed dial to say, sue that company and get them in trouble for this. They're just the type of people that just want to make and create cool stuff and have fun and help the world. And most companies know this. They realize that there's nobody to go after people who take part in these types of flagrant AGPL violations. That's not me. I know the organizations that have gone after the companies that have abused AGPL license code and tried to hide it behind some sort of paywall or restriction later, that have not reproduced it or lied about using AGPL code, some of them with great success. And I'd be more than happy to call them up and ask if they could start going after you, combing through all your code, combing through your terms of service, seeing what laws you've broken.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm being interrupted a lot right now.
Seeing whether or not you should have to redo your entire fucking software stack from beginning to end in order to not be in violation. Whatever amount of money that you cost me, I will ensure that I cost you a minimum of 5 to 20 times that in legal fees. I am that confident in the fact that your case is garbage. So do your best. Try to take down my GitHub repo. Send me a cease and desist. I look forward to your notice. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. And if you want to learn about Section 1201 of the DMCA, why it is one of the most ownership-unfriendly laws in the books in the United States of America, and why it needs to get the fuck out of here, if not at the very least get reformed, check out fulu.org, where we talk about these items on a regular basis. Read around and stick around the channel. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. And again, Bambu Lab, if the legal team at Bambu Lab is watching this, make my day. I'll have fun with this one.
We also have to fight people. It's so hilarious. Yeah, no, that's pretty fucked up, not gonna lie. Bambu Labs, I don't know what the hell, but you should probably, oh, here we go. Consumer Rights Wiki. Yeah, cease and desist against the Orca Slicer Bambu Lab Re-Enablement Project. Okay, so this is... Yeah, no, I don't... This is kind of what happens. As these labs, right? These companies will get a hold of software that's licensed GPL license, and what ends up happening is they'll use it for a while. They use it for maybe even years. I don't know how long. That's a year. Bambu Lab creation date. Okay, so they've been around for about 6 years. In Shenzhen, China. So it is a Chinese manufacturer. So what happens? And you know what? It does not surprise me. It's a fucking Chinese manufacturer. They do not seem to understand how our licensing situation works. But they'll use it for years. And then I don't know if they think like, oh, enough time has passed. Maybe no one will realize that, hey, this code is not actually ours, and we don't have a right to to freaking DMCA and other, shut down other people for using the same code. I think they just think that like, oh, enough time has passed and everyone will forget. I think that's kind of what happens in April. I don't know. It's very strange. Very strange. Bing chilling. He dealt with New York business taxes. He can deal with Bambu labs. Yeah, no, he could. So, next, okay, we got that one done. Boom, next. Hold on, I want to make sure this is actually our next one. Yeah, it is, okay. So, everyone has been fucking losing their goddamn mind over the Hantavirus situation. Oh my god, the Hantavirus situation. It's COVID-2, electric boogaloo, we're all gonna die, etc., etc. So, I have decided to bring up of my own volition. This isn't a, this is not a fan submission. But, I've decided to bring up in my own submission a video from Chubby Emu. For those who don't know, this is the guy who's famous for the videos like what was growing in his kidneys started growing in his brain, right? Or he ate vitamin gummies. He ate 100 vitamin gummies in a day. This is what happened to his liver. Stuff like that, right? This one he actually decided to read. Well, I'm gonna let him take over because I did watch the intro of this. That he decides to read a case study about a hantavirus infection and how his hospital, I think the hospital he deals with, how they would actually handle a hantavirus outbreak. For those who don't know, hantavirus is an incredibly well-known virus. It's been known for about 40, maybe 45 years. Roughly 300 people a year get hantavirus, and it does have a high mortality rate. However, its main vector, which is the transmission method in which it spreads from animal to person, person to person, etc., its main and one of its only vectors is rodent urine and droppings to a person. So if you're near rodent droppings in urine, or if those droppings in urine are airborne, you breathe it in, you can get hantavirus. There's only one hantavirus variation that is known to actually have person-to-person spread. I'm forgetting the name of that particular strain, but it requires what's known as prolonged physical contact. So basically, you're going to have to either be having sexy times with this person, or you're going to have to be making out with them in order to catch hantavirus, this particular variant of hantavirus. It's not the Hantavirus, which is, you know, just as degenerate. But, because of a cruise ship that ended up getting a small outbreak of hantavirus, and I did look up the numbers of this, like a bunch of people are thinking, oh my god, 150 people on this ship were infected and now they've been spread across the world. No. 8 people out of more than 150 people on that cruise ship ended up being infected over a course of weeks, because the incubation period of this thing is like 4 to 6 weeks. It's crazy. So, this is a very, very low risk situation. But because everyone is fucking losing their goddamn mind about it, I figured, let's watch a doctor explain what hantavirus actually is, explain what it looks like, and explains why the need for panicking about this is very low.
Hi, Dr. Bernard here. I'm going to cover a case of hantavirus that was published in literature in 2025 from the same country where it appears the 2026 cruise ship incident originated from. I'm going to cover it as written and give you perspective of how we would see this case as if it came through our hospital. I'll tell you a little bit about hantavirus and why I don't think overt panic is warranted in context of the 2026 cruise ship incident. And I'll just tell you my personal advice right now. It's very simple, and everyone should have been living it anyways. 1, wash your hands often, before and after you eat.
Look, he's gonna be taught, he's wash your hands. That's probably the main one.
After meeting with people. And do this as the first thing that you do when you get home. Wash them thoroughly for 20 seconds and do it twice in succession. Cool. Think as if you're a surgeon and you're about to do surgery on someone. 2, if you feel sick and or have a fever, stay at home. And 3, if you have trouble breathing, go to the hospital. Simple rules for life in general. I highly recommend them. JB
Yeah,
is a
fair.
52-year-old man presenting to the emergency room sweaty and nauseous. He had hypotension, hypo meaning low, tension referring to blood pressure, low blood pressure, and he had a fever. When doctors measured his blood oxygen saturation, it was 89%. Under 90 needs emergency medical attention because it means that the body is suffocating. They see him sitting there confused, obtunded, and unaware of where he was. These symptoms suggest that his brain is starving.
If I remember right, Hantavirus is a type of respiratory viral infection, so it does share that with COVID in the sense that it does attack respiration, but I think that's one of the few things it actually shares with COVID.
Of oxygen, and something terrible is happening. A chest x-ray reveals that his lungs are filled with fluid. This prevents the oxygen exchange from the air into his blood, explaining why he's suffocating. A blood test confirms he has hypoxemia. Ox referring to oxygen, and emia meaning presence in blood. Low oxygen presence in blood. It's not just low saturation, the oxygen actually isn't there. But why is that fluid in his lungs? He might be volume overloaded. Water has flooded into his body and has nowhere else to go other than to squeeze into his lungs. Or his lung blood vessels have been leaking, or there's an infection in his lungs. Some of these will take some time to confirm, but doctors need to do something now. JB was given supplemental oxygen. Air is only 21% oxygen. Vastly increasing the amount of oxygen per inhalation should ameliorate some of the hypoxemia, and this buys some time. But as the hours pass, it stops working. JB's oxygen saturation decreases. Something very bad is happening to him, and it's happening very quickly, and it's getting worse. He's transferred into the intensive care unit. JB is sedated. A tube is placed down his throat so that a machine can breathe for him. But as the hour passes, JB goes into shock. His blood pressure suddenly drops even more. This means that blood can't get to all of his organs, but most importantly, it can't get into his brain. If oxygen already wasn't getting into his brain adequately because he had hypoxemia, then adding severe hypotension on top means that there's seconds to minutes left before his brain suffers permanent damage, because oxygen makes energy production happen in cells. Normal blood flow and breathing helps clear out the wastes produced by brain cells. When that mechanism no longer functions, JB's brain will cease to exist. 2 medicines were immediately given. The first one constricts his blood vessels and forces his heart to beat harder. The second one tells his kidneys to hold on to water. These should push his blood pressure higher, but it wasn't enough. Shortly after his ICU admission, JB stops making urine. His kidneys have completely shut down. Doctors had to hook him up to a dialysis machine so that the body waste that would have been urine can be filtered out of him. A chest CT scan confirms JB has pulmonary edema. This is the fluid that's in his lungs, and there seems to be more now than when he presented to the emergency room. But this higher resolution scan gives more insights. It kind of looked like JB had a fungal infection, but this was borderline. If it isn't fungus, then for sure what's happening isn't a typical infection. Other parts of his lungs had collapsed. Doctors start him on multiple antimicrobial agents to cover a wide variety of pathogens. It's still not clear that this is absolutely an infection, but if it is, one of these could start working some and buy some time to figure out why this much fluid has flooded into his lungs. They write a problem list, and they need to rule each one out to make a diagnosis of what's wrong so that they can treat him properly. Hey, quick question. Have you learned something from this video so far? If you have and you aren't subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate it if you did subscribe and come back to see the video that I post next month too. I've made 1 video a month on average every month since 2017. This is my fun time hobby, and I make these to teach about medicine through stories. It's one of the best ways that we teach clinically. I make these, and it's genuinely one of my highlights of my day. So I'm thankful.
Bray, what the fuck is that?
I make these, and
No, we're going down, I have to count this. My autism commands me. Okay, that's... Jesus Christ. That is... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. That is a 30-stack burger. The fuck? There's no one who's saying that's small. There's no one who's saying that's small. That's much. All of you suck. No, this is a 30-stack. This is the 30-stack. I counted right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Yeah, it's a 30. It's a 30 stack. My God. Okay, so let's get into... He totally ADHD'd me out, like I'll admit to it.
These, and it's genuinely one of my highlights of my day, so I'm thankful for the opportunity to make these for you. Appreciate you. JB was previously healthy. He had just come back from a trip in Argentina before experiencing a fever for 7 days. These are important to know because there's only a couple things that this could be. It's not a previously known chronic disease, and fever means that it could be an infection. That involves fluid in the lung, and that means this could be pneumonia. The problem is pneumonia usually comes with a productive cough. He didn't have that. And when he was tested for respiratory bacteria and viruses, they all came out negative. So this isn't pneumonia.
So they tested
Fever
for
could
viral.
also mean inflammation. If not pneumonia, infection, then maybe this is autoimmune, the immune system attacking the body. Shortly after ICU admission, JB's kidneys failed. That could be the immune system attacking it. When that happens, the immune system can also attack the lungs simultaneously. And this pulmonary capillaritis, itis meaning inflammation, capil from capillary, which is the small blood vessels in the lung, and pulmonary referring to the lungs, can result in diffuse alveolar hemorrhage. Alveoli being the air sacs surrounded by capillaries where oxygen exchanges into the blood. The bleeding would be the fluid that's flooded into his lungs. And the bleed would be getting worse, coinciding with his kidneys suddenly shutting down in the intensive care unit.
Doc, you can't just show me. I mean, come on, you know what this
Just
looks
into
like
the
to
blood.
me?
The bleeding would be...
Look, you can't just show a vampire this. You cannot show a vampire this. This is some kind of torture.
The fluid that's flooded into his lungs, and the bleed would be getting worse, coinciding with his kidneys suddenly shutting down in the intensive care unit. But the reason why this isn't likely is because nothing indicated that JB had autoimmune disease. Blood tests didn't say it, past medical history didn't show it. So
Yeah, a lot of things like for blood testing and stuff like that, if it's an autoimmune disease, what ends up happening is they'll find an abnormally high count of blood cells in the fluid surrounding the kidneys and stuff like that. So it is relatively easy to stumble across through blood testing whether or not something's an autoimmune disease. So that one's probably not going to be it.
this was unlikely, leaving one final problem. JB had fluid in both lungs. Without evidence of pneumonia, this means that his lung blood vessels were leaking. He fell into shock when he arrived in the ICU. Both of these together suggest viral infection. And given that he had recently been in Argentina before he had the fever, this suggests one virus that wasn't tested for when doctors looked at pneumonia because it doesn't cause pneumonia. Rather, it suffocates the person by flooding their lungs with fluid. This one is called Hantavirus.
There it is.
In the intensive care unit, doctors
Hantavirus.
order serologic and molecular testing for Hantavirus. This is not a standard test because this is not a common problem in most places on this side of the earth, but it came out positive. What's Hantavirus?
Okay.
The original name was Hantavirus from the
Hantan River, okay.
Hantan River in Korea. This exact location tells us how this was rediscovered in modern English. In 1951, United Nations troops stationed by the Hantan River started reporting an epidemic hemorrhagic fever that would end in kidney failure. At the time, they didn't know what it was that caused it, and they didn't know how it was happening. 27 years later, Dr. Ho Wang Lee was able to identify what caused that hemorrhagic fever. He found out it was a virus that's first hosted in infected rodents before it being passed on to humans. He named this the Hantan virus. It looks like it had been described and alluded to in ancient Chinese texts from...
Holy shit, so our first interaction with Hantan virus, or Hantavirus as it's now called, was as early as the 1950s. That's how long this thing has been around, guys.
thousands of years ago, describing inflammatory fever diseases that ended in kidney and lung disease. For sure, this appears to have been a known entity to locals for centuries. When scientists looked closer, they found that this virus had been circulating around a much wider area than previously thought: Korea, China, Japan, Russia, and getting as far as Scandinavia. And when we started developing the technology to sequence genomes, we found out that many viruses in different geographic locations were genetically similar to Hantavirus. They were related, though just slightly different, and this is where the Hantavirus family comes from. One reason why there's a distinction among family members here is that the illness caused by each virus can be a little bit different. Overall, they either cause kidney failure or they cause cardiopulmonary failure, just like in JB's case. And at least during the time of Dr. Ho Wang Li, it was found that most all of the viruses in the family were transmitted to humans through airborne particles of infected small animal feces. You inhale them, and then it gets you. However, there was a pivotal discovery that linked the Americas with these Eurasian hantavirus species. On May 14th, 1993, a 19-year-old man was driving through the
93. That damn. That's what? That's... Jesus Christ, that's 33 years ago.
Four corners to go to his fiance's funeral when suddenly he couldn't breathe. He had no known health problems. He was a marathon runner. He stopped at a local gas station because regular people back then didn't have cell phones, and then he called for help. An ambulance arrives, but before it does, he collapses because he can't breathe. In the emergency room, they find that fluid had filled into his lungs, and within minutes of arriving to the hospital, he's not alive anymore. This didn't make sense. Someone this young and healthy shouldn't pass away like this. New Mexico Office of the Medical Investigator was contacted, and the investigator at the time was totally shocked because a few weeks earlier, a young woman nearby had also passed away in the same manner. She was previously healthy too, but then suddenly she had trouble breathing, collapsed, and then it was over. At autopsy for both patients, doctors noticed that there was nothing structurally wrong with their lungs. They just suddenly filled with fluid, and then their lives were over. Something very bad was happening.
Terrifying.
That 19-year-old man's fiancée, he was going to her funeral. Why did she pass away? Investigators found out that she was only 21. She had passed away only a few days earlier. She was also a marathon runner, just like her fiancé, and previously healthy. During her autopsy, a different doctor who was present, he immediately remembered a recent consultation that he was a part of, involving two more young, previously healthy adults who collapsed after suddenly not being able to breathe, and then subsequently passed away. Both of those patients had unexplained pulmonary edema. New Mexico Department of Health sent a letter to Arizona, Colorado, and Utah because it appeared that there was an occult illness happening right at the border, and they received responses. Multiple cases of a mysterious illness that all presented the same way in previously healthy patients had been reported all around the Four Corners, and even worse, it was 80% mortality. CDC was asked for help. They tested
80% mortality. Okay. There's a note here. It was 80% before they knew what was going on. It decreased after they were able to identify it because they had a better idea of how to treat. Okay, that makes more sense. Because I think right now the mortality rate of hantavirus is between 40 to 60%. Which, you know, is still not great. It's actually quite a lethal virus. But again, the transmission rate is so abysmally low.
Autopsy samples for gene samples of various pathogens, and it was here where they saw something that had never been seen before. Public health officials went to homes of the deceased. They found rodents in and nearby the buildings. They collected them, tested them, and found that these rodents had the same pathogen genetic material that these patients did at autopsy, meaning that something was passed on. When they were able to grow it, they discovered a virus that was previously an undescribed species of hantavirus. This is the first time a cluster of infections was formally described in the Western Hemisphere.
93.
But there was a problem. Infected small animals were the only known vectors to hantavirus known at the time, and massive quantities of small animals, enough to mutate an entirely new species of hantavirus, can't easily get from Asia to New Mexico, meaning that this species had always been here. But why was it showing up in 1993? Not too far from the Four Corners, there were persistent rains all over the western United States in 1993. The rivers that feed into the Mississippi River started overflowing, and after several months, the water became so much that the Mississippi River itself flooded. This was one of the worst floods in US history, but where did that rain come from? And what does that have to do with hantavirus? On July 16, 1990, there was a magnitude 7.8 earthquake in the Philippines. 2 weeks after the quake, local residents reported steam was coming from a nearby volcano. Over the next several months, successive earthquakes were felt until April 2, 1991, when that volcano, Mount Pinatubo, erupted. It sent 20 megatons of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere and triggered a volcanic winter. The global temperature dropped half a degree Celsius for 2 years into 1993. This created abnormal conditions for excessive precipitation in North America, causing a river flood. But also, the Four Corners also had massively increased rains. And this is where it connects to hantavirus. In spring of 1993, a sudden influx of biologists came into the Four Corners region to study. The rodent population had exploded by 10 times because there was an increase in local vegetation due to increased rain. Public health officials at first didn't realize this, but once they made the connection, they realized with more rodents, it means that there was more chance for rodents to get infected, and more chance for an infected rodent-associated disease to be transmitted to locals. Meaning hantaviruses had already existed in North America, it's just that we hadn't directly observed it yet for multiple reasons. In 2025, a high-profile case of sin nombre hantavirus was reported. That's the one from the 1993 outbreak. Betsy Arakawa, wife of Gene Hackman, had passed away in her home in New
Yeah, I remember when this happened. Yeah, I remember literally reading this fucking article regarding, Gene Hackman's wife. She died of hantavirus.
Mexico, while his dementia had progressed to the point where he didn't realize what was happening. She very likely felt ill for days after her first exposure and then suddenly couldn't breathe, and it was found to be hantavirus. It is endemic in this region of the country. Finding her case is a legacy of this direct observation of hantavirus in this region. But in 1993, this region still wasn't quite aware of it. And why? Well, this is not a densely populated part of the country. If cases had shown up in the past, they were probably one-offs that were hard to identify without multiple cases showing a pattern. You can see it happening in real time as the 1993 outbreak was unfolding at first from the 19-year-old man. It would have looked like people suddenly collapsing for no reason, but with 10 times more rodents in an area than normal, clusters of cases will draw attention and allow investigators to connect ideas. But when it was identified in 1993, scientists wanted to know, is this North American species different than the hantaviruses found in Asia? And if South America has different small animal species, and this virus is transmitted through infected animals, is it possible that South America has different hantaviruses too? And the answer to both was yes. Argentina, 1995. 2 people in a rural area in the south suddenly stopped breathing. At autopsy, doctors found hantavirus genetic material in the lungs and the liver. When they compared it to known hantaviruses, it was distinct, and they named this one the Andes virus. This was interesting because if it was spread by infected rodents, well, South American rodents are different from North American ones. And while they didn't know which rodent could transmit this Andes virus at the time, it wasn't very long until they found out that Andes virus can be transmitted from human to human.
This is the Andes variant. This is the one that can be transferred person to person, but again, it requires prolonged close physical contact.
In a small cluster of infections in the same town where the virus was first found the year earlier. This brings us to 2026. A group of people boarded a cruise ship in Argentina, near where Andes virus is known to be. 5 days later, one of the passengers started feeling ill, and 5 more days later, he wasn't alive anymore. No one knew what happened. When the ship arrives at St. Helena Island 13 days later, on April 24th, his body was examined at the hospital. His wife, who accompanied his body, wasn't feeling well. The next day, she took a flight from St. Helena Island to Johannesburg, South Africa. When she lands, she collapses at the airport and then passes away. The cruise company hadn't confirmed that these deaths were related to a medical situation on board that boat. But the same day, when the wife passes away, another passenger on the boat becomes ill. He's evacuated to South Africa and admitted into the intensive care unit. 5 days later, on May 2nd, another passenger aboard the ship.
See, this is kind of why it's not a very effective virus to spread, though, because it literally requires the virus to kill its person, to kill its host, before it's managed to infect one other person. that person dies, it's managed to infect one other person. No, in order to have like viable transmission rate, you gotta have that virus be able to infect tens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of people. That's the difference between COVID and between Hantavirus. It just doesn't have the legs. It kills its host before it can effectively spread.
Has difficulty breathing before suddenly passing away. From the patient still alive in South Africa, doctors are able to confirm that he has Hantavirus. World Health Organization is contacted, and they were able to identify 7 total cases of Hantavirus aboard the ship, and including the deceased as of early May 2026. And it was here where the WHO was able to confirm this was Andy's virus. This is the one that can be transmitted human to human, and evidence was already mounting before it was confirmed that this was the causative agent. Started from Argentina, the ship.
I think though, see, this is the thing. Look, I'm not going to say with absolute certainty that this is what's happening, right? But the Andes variant is extraordinarily rare. What is more common, and what Occam's razor suggests, is that this cruise ship might have a rodent problem, which is how the Hantavirus got on board in the first place. I find that to be a far more reasonable explanation, but I find this explanation to be far less harmful to the public relations of this cruise ship. This cruise ship would fucking love it if this was the Andes variant and they didn't have to admit that their cruise ships might have a rodent problem. Which, by the way, most cruise ships and most ships in general have a rodent problem. So I'm just saying that, like, it would be very easy for the, oh no, it's the Andes variant, that's why this is happening, right? But that's a fucking, you're making a lot of fucking assumptions if that's the case.
This doctor, who would tend to those who feel ill, started getting sick himself and had to disembark the ship to get medical treatment. Andy's virus is a different Hantavirus species than what JB likely suffered. And the reason that we know this,
you know, my species found on the ship, I think. That's kind of incredible.
Is because Argentina has multiple hantaviruses unique to different regions. Andy's virus comes predominantly from the south. JB got sick in the north. But despite all of this, the illness is still more or less the same in that there's a sudden cardiopulmonary collapse that follows a period of time where the patient will feel sick. So that's why it's important for you to get medical attention immediately if you feel sick, especially during times when alarm bells for hantavirus have been raised in your local area. There's no direct medicine to give for Hantavirus cardiopulmonary syndrome as of the time that I'm publishing this. It's supportive care. It's the tube down JB's throat for the machine to breathe for him. If that doesn't work, then it's redirecting his blood to a machine that oxygenates it for him and pumps it back into his body. Over time, it's known that the body does eventually clear out the virus, taking out the fluid that fills into the lungs and allowing the person to be able to breathe once again normally.
So it's all,
and all of this is possible if the person sought and received the correct care in time. So there's a few things here to know. Some people are concerned, and rightly so, about the 2026 cruise ship outbreak because there's passengers who disembarked the boat after the announcement that someone had died.
From what I understand, though, they've been, like, the Americans, I think there was 12 to 18 Americans on that cruise ship. They have been taken off, and, like, when they were taken off, they were put in hazmat suits. They were transferred to the facility that, like, we handle, like, COVID and Ebola and Zika and fucking, I think, swine flu, way back when swine flu was a thing. So, like, we are being abundantly cautious about this when it has nowhere near the transmission rate of something like COVID.
On board. I haven't been on a cruise for a long time, but I can't imagine if I would be okay knowing that there's a dead body on the ship for my vacation for 2 weeks before anyone does anything about it. Where are they?
Fun fact, most cruise ships actually have a morgue in which they store dead bodies because it is very, 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 very extremely common for elders, people who are enjoying their retirement, to literally sell their home and stuff and literally just fucking go on cruises until they die. And guess what? cruise ships know this, they're aware of this, and they have prepared for it. Most cruise ships, usually in one cruise, it's not uncommon for 1 or 2 people to die. Usually of old age, but sometimes it's something more, serious like this.
Keeping the body, is it in the room next to mine? I hope
No, it's in a morgue.
not. But if this virus can transmit from human to human, and that virus was circulating among the passengers, and there are passengers who left early, is it possible that they could be spreading it out to everyone around them in their hometown?
It's an amazingly
That's a question
fun fact.
everywhere in the news right now.
It's
and
the funnest fact.
It's possible, and the only real experience that's known about this comes from southern Argentina in the 1996 case cluster, and a second one that happened in 2018. One person had gotten infected. They were ill while at a birthday party, and people at the birthday party who sat close to this person subsequently got sick 17 to 24 days afterwards. One of these people had a very active social life and went on to infect 6 more people before he was symptomatic. And 16 days after symptom onset, this person stopped breathing and it was over. His wife had a fever while attending his wake, and 10 people who came into close contact with her during the wake became ill 14 to 40 days afterwards. And in total, there were 34 people getting infected and 11 deaths from this 2018 outbreak. Something important to note from this: no healthcare worker who treated the infected patients got infected themselves. And medical teams are exposed to every single body fluid possible during treatment. They did have protective equipment on, but it wasn't uniform across all the different hospitals. Now keep in mind, we're speculating whether or not human-to-human transmission comes from saliva droplets and other bodily fluids. Some of the transmission described between patients in this paper is a little ambiguous. For example, this patient is reported as his daughter. This method of transmission is a valid topic to bring up. However, I hope something in here was reported.
What the fuck? I hope to God they meant patient 34. That does not look great.
Incorrectly, and also simply saying hi. Very possible Andes virus can be transmitted through saliva droplets like sneezes, but we just don't know enough right now. But what we do know is that the difference between this and 2020 is that back in 2020, we had never seen that before. It was kind of similar to something that we saw in 2002, but also not really. And the unknown part in the very early months of that year was the scary part. But this Andes virus has been known for 30 years. The 1996 and 2018 cases demonstrated that the virus had no mutations in that time period. And it looks like in the 2026 situation, it hasn't changed much again. That's not to say it won't change going forward, but we can only act on the information that we have now. If it changes, then adjust accordingly. The point of this is that we know what to do in the cases of hantavirus. And it's good that the alarms have been raised so that should a case come through, the medical team will know what to look for. What is particularly dangerous is when the medical team doesn't know what they're looking for and diagnose hantavirus as something else, like a pulmonary embolism, atypical pneumonia, or pulmonary capillaritis. That's why I showed the differential diagnosis in JB's case.
Okay,
this is unlike January through April of 2020, where that pathogen really was something new. This isn't new. We've known about it for decades in America, millennia in Asia. This is a data point that one should be aware of. Take note of. You should take the precaution of making sure that your hands are clean by washing after you come home. Wash your hands before you eat. If you feel sick and have a fever, stay at home. And if you really don't feel well, go to the hospital. That's your data point. And those are actions for you to take, because now the whole world knows about hantavirus. Should someone actually have trouble breathing that descends to sudden cardiopulmonary collapse, they're more likely to get the right care that they need than compared to the time before hantavirus cruise ship story came out. Now, doing those 3 things and paying attention are all the brain power that I personally will dedicate to this. And that's my humble recommendation to you as well.
Yeah,
for JB, he was in the intensive care unit for 40 days. During this time, his respiratory function and blood pressure gradually improved. His kidneys were able to completely recover. After physical therapy and rehabilitation, JB was able to make a full recovery. This is what a hantavirus cardiopulmonary case looks like. All hantaviruses that cause this syndrome more or less look like this. The renal hemorrhage version that's typically found in Asia looks a little bit different, but the 2026 cruise ship one is this cardiopulmonary one. When one gets the right treatment in time, they can make a full recovery. And good thing we're able to raise the alarm bells now, so that should any patient present to any given hospital with similar symptoms like JB, which are fever, confusion, shortness of breath with low oxygen saturation and hypoxemia with a fever, and they may have had prior contact with someone who had hantavirus, the hospital should be able to order the right tests. They would still need to rule other things out just in case, and they'll be able to get everything in the right time so that they can deliver the correct care to that patient. Just based on the information that we have at the time that I'm publishing this, I'm not overly panicked about this. Be mindful, pay attention, have this in the back of your mind, take your necessary precautions, and continue on. Take care of yourself, and be well.
Well, there you go. That's pretty much everything I'd been saying since people started panicking about it on Twitter. Anyway, moving right along, because we only have a few more hours before we are on Rumble tonight with watching something Mama Oko has chosen. I'm actually forgetting the name of it, but it's fine. We're gonna move right along to, actually, crap, we already covered this one last react. Okay, so we're skipping this one. Alright, so this one instead is from NateTheLawyer. It was posted 11 days ago, and it has to do with David. Singer accused of getting 13-year-old pregnant, killing her, and hiding the body. That is the name of the title. YouTube, please do not cancel my stream over that. And without further ado, let us resume.
And 7 months after investigators found a dismembered body inside his car, the pop singer David was in a Los Angeles court today answering to charges of murder.
If you, like me, had no idea who David or D4VD is before this body was found in the trunk of his car.
I know who he is, but your microphone keeps peaking, bitch, and you need to fix that.
Let me catch you up.
Popular singer David arrested in connection to the death of a teenage girl, seen in this footage obtained by the California Post.
So the singer David is being charged with the murder of a 14-year-old girl. Her body was found in the trunk of his car. Let's talk about it.
Dude, it's even worse because, like, he's got songs and music videos and stuff that, like, depict him killing Celeste, which that's the name of the minor victim.
Here's a quick message from our sponsor, Rumble Wallet. You already know why people are moving to crypto, because here's the problem. Most wallets still plug into the same system we're trying to escape in the first place. That's why Rumble built Rumble Wallet. It's a self-custodial wallet that lives inside an ecosystem that actually defends free speech and financial freedom. No bank.wallet.rumble.com before use. This is 21-year-old David Anthony Burke, born March 28, 2005. He's from Queens, New York, but he was raised in Houston, Texas. Now, he goes by the stage name David, spelled D4VD. Now, in 2022, David blew up, having multi-platinum hits, and he exploded on TikTok. Now, according to prosecutors, in 2002, he met Celeste.
Oh no, D4VD, you know what that stands for, right? His dick gave 4 people VD. Sorry.
Rivas. At the time, she was 11 years old and he was 17. Now, fast forward a year where she's now 13 years old, David is 18, and they begin having a relationship. Now, in the state of California, the age of consent is 18 years old. Now, what that means is that if someone's 18 years or older and has intercourse with someone who's below the age of consent, that's what's known as statutory rape. Now, California has what's known as Romeo and Juliet laws. These are
we do, but it doesn't cover an age difference of 5 years. Off the top of my head, I think it's 3 years. Like a 16-year-old can date an 18-year-old. Oh no, I think it's 2 years. Yeah, I think it's 2 years. But like, yeah, no, Romeo and Juliet laws in California at least are very, very specific, and they don't cover an age difference between a 13-year-old and a fucking 18-year-old.
Essentially exceptions to the statutory rape laws that are in California. So the way California handles it, if the age gap between the two individuals are 3 years or less, they treat it as a misdemeanor. Okay. If it's more than 3 years, they treat it as a felony, which can get you some real time in.
And remember, it doesn't... No, these are mitigating factors. Okay, so it means that, okay, you fucked up your two kids, you know, 19 and 16, or whatever the hell. We're not going to fucking ruin your life over something like that, but it is still illegal, which means that it's going to be treated like a misdemeanor, but you're still going to have to fucking pay for the violation of the law. That's what that means. A lot of people think, oh my God, it means it can always cut. No, it's a mitigating factor that the courts might take into consideration when still charging you with statutory rape.
Jail. So if the person is 18 and has a relationship with someone who's 15, then that is generally a misdemeanor. Most of the time, it's not even charged. Now, if you apply that to this case, prosecutors allege that Celeste was 13 and David was 18, making it a 5-year age gap. And since prosecutors are saying that Celeste was 13 years old when this relationship started, that also triggers Penal Code Section 288. That just makes it a crime to have any type of physical relationship with a child under the age of 14. To be more specific, it makes it a felony. Now let's fast forward to February 2024, where Celeste's family reported her missing, and when detectives started investigating, they saw Burke's, David the singer's, number on her phone. Now detectives talked to David, who tells them that he didn't know that she was a minor or that she was even missing. So when Celeste is returned to her family, they take away her phone. Now, at this time, David has blown up, so he has money to burn. And allegedly, he continues pursuing Celeste, drives to her school, and allegedly pays a student $1,000 to give Celeste a new phone that he bought. Now, the text messages they were sharing between the two are going to become very important in the case against David.
Also in the evidence are text messages that discuss sex between the two, her pregnancy, and an abortion. Celeste texting Burke, quote, "All we do is have sex and just hang out, man. I want more than that for myself."
Now, prosecutors allege that the relationship between David and Celeste started to sour because David's now a big star, he's meeting other women.
Hello?
Crazy. According to the prosecution, the night before they believe she was killed, April 23rd, the night of the 22nd, there was a big fight, and they went back and forth with text messages. She was upset because he was seeing other girls, and she was threatening in those text messages to disclose information about him that would get him in trouble and, quote, ruin his career. So he actually gets an Uber for her, according to prosecutors, and has her delivered to his home that day, April 23rd.
Oh,
now, what you just heard was what prosecutors call motive. The reason why they believe David committed this.
Yeah, that's motive in the fucking... That's like, that is so blatant. Like, I would use that as an example when like, teaching prosecutors what to look for when you're looking for motive. You would look at this. Are you fucking kidding me?
Heinous act of killing Celeste.
So we know that happened. We also know that a motive was released. The motive being that the singer David was worried that this young girl was going to reveal that he was having an inappropriate sexual affair with a young girl. If she released the information that she was underage while involved in a sexual relationship with David, it would ruin his career.
Now, on April 23rd, 2025, prosecutors alleged that David ordered an Uber to bring Celeste to his home in the Hollywood Hills. Now, prosecutors allege that when she got there, David killed her. Then he took her cell phone and drove to Santa Barbara, where he started texting her, making it seem like she never came to his house.
They say he stabbed her to death, and he actually waited, according to this complaint, until she, quote unquote, bled out. Then he took her phone, traveled to Santa Barbara, and kept on calling, texting her, saying, where are you, where are you? As her body is sitting in her house, again, according to prosecutors. So he goes to Santa Barbara, and that's where, according to the complaint, investigators actually found her ID.
So allegedly David comes home, he now has to dispose of his body, and here's the evidence prosecutors say they found in their investigation.
Blood evidence in David's garage that matches Hernandez's DNA. Tools David had delivered to his Hollywood home to dismember and dispose of the body.
God,
court documents allege David ordered 2 chainsaws, a body bag.
You used fucking chainsaws? What the fuck is this?
Bag, a heavy-duty laundry bag, and a blue inflatable pool, all under a fake name.
Now, after Celeste didn't come home, her parents were obviously worried and called authorities. And then on September 8th, 2025, Celeste was found in David's Tesla.
The body found inside the trunk of an abandoned Tesla registered to the singer David.
Yeah,
Los Angeles Police Department officers found human remains wrapped in a bag hidden in the front trunk of a Tesla on September 8th. Authorities told NBC
Yeah, so
Los
here's
Angeles.
the thing. Here's the thing about that, and I'm glad somebody actually mentioned it. Francis Karma, thank you. Francis Karma says, never commit a death penalty felony to avoid a much lesser punishment. So, little known fact, California does still have the death penalty. And it sounds like, and I can't be for sure yet, but it sounds like prosecution might be going for the death penalty. Oh, we just lost. Are we good? We just lost connection for just a brief second. But, okay, I hope we're back. Hold on, I have to check something now. Okay, it says it's on. Encoder looks okay. Says the stream is on. Okay, yeah, okay. Sorry. Just making sure we doing that, okay.
Angeles. The body, which law enforcement sources told NBC News was not intact, was found after the LAPD was called to Hollywood.
I'm pretty sure David has met I mean, look, let's be real. California standards for applying the death penalty are extremely high. I think David might have met them. I'm not joking when I say I think David might be the first person to be put on death row in California in over 20 years, I'm pretty sure.
Tow yard over a foul odor coming from a vehicle, which had been sitting in the impound lot for several days. Police said the vehicle had been towed after it was abandoned in the Hollywood Hills. Following the car's discovery, a spokesperson for D4VD said in a statement to NBC News that the singer has been informed about what's happened, and although he is still out on tour, he is fully cooperating with authorities.
Now, just to be clear, David has said he is not guilty. So legally, he is innocent until proven guilty, even though this evidence seems pretty damning. And the fact that she was found in his car, all these crazy text messages, all the blood that was found in his house. Looks like David may be going away for life. And let's not forget, California is a death penalty state.
David has pled not guilty, and his lawyers have said in the past they will vigorously defend David's innocence. Former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani believes Burke's defense will most likely argue that Celeste accidentally died from an overdose, and Burke panicked, cutting up and hiding her body.
There's no way that's gonna be your defense. There's no fucking way. There is absolutely no fucking way you're gonna give that defense in front of a jury. Yeah, so you know, she just suddenly died of a drug overdose, and of course, I'm gonna panic, dismember her body, buy things to make sure I don't make a mess, hide her in my Tesla, and then abandon said Tesla to go on tour. Yeah, so clearly they can only offer what's known as a partial defense. A partial defense is something like a self-defense, right? A self-defense is a partial defense in the name of you did the thing that you're being charged with, but there's a good and reasonable explanation for why you did them. That's what a partial defense is, and it seems like they're going with a partial defense because wow, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. There's no way that geez, wow. Wow. A partial, more like a crack pipe one. Yeah, but Saper, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, mister. Should be studying for the bar this year. I'm assuming you're going to be taking the summer bar exam, right? Most states usually have two times a year that they do them, Usually one in the winter and one in the summer.
They can somehow fall on that and avoid either the sex crimes or the murder itself. That would be a huge win for the defense.
So now let's go to the opinion section. Everything I'm saying here is an opinion, not fact. I think David is going down for murder one.
Yeah, same,
it seems
same.
obvious. Blood at his house. The body's found in his car. He's got all these weird purchases, the whole phone thing. David is in a lot of trouble. And just with the images on his phone and the conversations he's having with a 13-year-old about a smishmortion, that also is not going to be helpful.
Nate, did you just say smishmortion? Can you not say abortion on stream or on videos? Oh yeah, no, YouTube just they're shutting me down right now, chat.
I think David is looking at years in prison. Personally, my opinion. And I think he deserves it, even without the murder. The evidence against David seems to be overwhelming, but I've been wrong in the past. Tell me how you feel in the comment section. Do you think the singer David is not guilty and he's going to walk? Because I think he's limited.
Yeah, apparently there was a pregnancy and an abortion involved with all this, guys. Yes, it's fantasy. Allegedly pregnant with his baby.
In the dream world, I think his career's essentially over, right? Because of the things that he was doing with people who weren't the appropriate age. But
yeah, we're done with that. Yeah, no, that's you're pretty much done. Yeah. So YouTube is aborting your stream. Holy crap, that was a great one. And then this guy fucking walks in. He rolled all in the dirt and stuff, and then jumped right into his fucking. He was rolling around you can see it on my whole bed. Now eat him. Papa Elfpire walked in. He's looking at the cat. By the way, that tick isn't growing at all. I think it's dead. Anywho, we have another video to move right along into. This one's called DEI Disaster. It was posted 10 days ago. First black female sheriff in this area, obviously, indicted on 30 felonies over incompetence. This one was actually suggested to me not only by members of my chat, but Papa Elfpire as well watched it the other day. He started getting into NateTheLawyer.
Susan Hudson is not only the first female sheriff of Orleans Parish, she's also the state's first black woman to occupy the sheriff's office in the state, period.
We're going to talk about history. When you do break a glass ceiling, you got to celebrate it.
A new sheriff in town, Susan Hudson, breaking barriers indeed, as the first African-American female sheriff in the state's history.
A few moments later.
Breaking news. Orleans Sheriff Susan Hudson is indicted on 30 felony counts.
So, the first black female sheriff in the...
See, there's no fucking way I'm going to hear you say something like that. If you're going to say something like that, that's akin to victim blaming. Because remember, that girl, that child, that 13-year-old is dead. I suggest you keep that to yourself from now on. I'm not joking. Wow, woo, man, you're lucky.
State of Louisiana has been indicted on 30 felony counts. You can't make this stuff up.
30 felony counts. More felonies than Trump got? No, Trump was given 34 felony counts.
Here's a quick message from our sponsor, Rumble.
Wait, did she say more than 30?
The state of Louisiana has been indicted on 30 felonies.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, no, Trump was 34. I didn't mean it like that. It's about motive. Motive is irrelevant where it comes to the victim. In cases like this, motive is entirely irrelevant. For like, why, like, she's dead. It doesn't matter what she did. Unless, like, she was attacking him and it's a self-defense thing. But we already know that's not the defense they're making. So, in the context of, I watched her OD and then decided to chop up her body and hide it in my Tesla, they cannot use, oh, she was trying to blackmail me as part of their defense. That does not apply to the defense they're employing. Yeah, because defense is to remember, they've already stated what the defense is planning to be. So the defense is planning to be, he did not kill her. So motive is irrelevant because he didn't kill her. He panicked when she died, chopped up her body, and then hit her in his Tesla out of panic. Now, if that is the defense that you are applying, you cannot then make up motive and say, oh, but she was doing all these things, because it doesn't apply to the defense that you are trying to argue. I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just showing how the defense that they provided would not match the defense you're trying to give.
Here's a quick message from our sponsor, Rumble Wallet. You already know why people are moving to crypto, because here's the problem. Most wallets still plug into the same system.
Isaac, no. Nobody look at Trump Rule 34. Isaac, oh God.
We're trying to escape in the first place. That's why Rumble built Rumble Wallet. It's a self-custodial wallet that lives inside an ecosystem that actually defends free speech and financial freedom. No banks holding your balance, not even Rumble can touch your funds. This is your money on your keys on your terms. If you're already...
Yes. Sapertal is correct. The prosecution is going to argue his motive, but if he is adamant in denying that he ever killed her, it means that the defense can't address that. The only way they can say, they can argue against, well, no, these were his motives for killing her. What say you that? He did not kill her. He watched her die and panicked and chopped off. Like, their defense is so much worse than, like, if he had actually killed her, in my opinion. Because, I mean, it's the umpire, Jesus Christ. Why didn't you call 911 when she passed out? There's a lot weird with that defense and everything.
Using Bitcoin or stable coins, Rumble Wallet gives you some more power. Direct, fast tipping, and support for creators on Rumble without waiting weeks for payouts or dealing with random account holds. On-chain payments and assets like Bitcoin, Tether Gold, or USAT, so you can move value globally without asking anyone for permission.
Wallet.
Most wallets stop at terms at wallet.rumble.com before you. This is Susan Hudson, and she's about to make history, being the first black female sheriff in Louisiana's history.
We're going to talk about history. When you do break a glass ceiling, you got to celebrate it.
A new sheriff in town, Susan Hudson, breaking barriers indeed, as the first African-American female sheriff in the state's history.
I was looking at how long Louisiana's been a state, right? 200 plus years, and all that time, not one African-American woman has been able to get to this position. 2022, right? And so you're like, it's time for all those barriers to be broken down.
First a parade, then the inauguration ceremony.
Now, Susan Hudson is a political activist. She's extremely progressive.
Remember, everybody, David was 17 turning 18 when all of this went down. I think we can all agree that the one thing we're not going to say about an 18-year-old is that they're smart or they think things through.
And left wing. And before becoming sheriff, she actually served as the independent police monitor for New Orleans.
Let me give you a little bit of a background of Susan Hudson. She's running on a progressive platform, and she scored a major endorsement from Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams, who also ran on that similar progressive platform during his race last year. Now, Hudson has no political experience, but says it's time for a change, and she's focusing on what she calls the 3C ideology: care, custody, and control.
Before voters named her sheriff, she spent 11 years as New Orleans independent police monitor.
So you have this extremely progressive sheriff whose plan essentially is, we don't really want to punish people. We don't want to put people in jail for their crimes. We want to pretend like crime doesn't exist. And this is horrible for the people of New Orleans, because New Orleans has a huge crime problem. Remember when the district attorney of New Orleans was actually caught?
Okay, I know for a fact, Sabertall, that you just came out of law school, because I have not heard the fucking Rumple defense mentioned casually in any LawTubers chat in a hot minute.
Jacked with his mom?
I don't even think we mentioned the Rumple defense in the Sarah Boone case.
My mother's really shook up. She keeps reliving it. But we're just thankful that that we're alive. Nobody's hurt.
This is surveillance video from moments after the teens allegedly stole Williams' car. Amaja Curtis, Dejon Curtis, Santan Gilmore, and Ahmad Seals have all been charged as adults in this case.
So the people of New Orleans said, hey, let's hire the most progressive, anti-police person we could as sheriff, and that's what they did. So what do you think happened? Well, obviously.
No, obviously she defunded the police, and then after things started getting bad, she tried to fund the police again. That's my guess.
Things went off the rails immediately. See, since she is sheriff, she handles the jails. And immediately, inmates went crazy and conditions at the jail worsened under her tenure.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but weeks into Hudson's tenure, inmates in a high security pod at the Orleans Justice Center barricaded themselves in that pod, blocking out staff. That standoff lasted 3 days, with inmates demanding better conditions. A report by federal jail monitors claimed that conditions in the jail had worsened in some cases under Hudson's oversight.
So under the progressive sheriff, things actually got worse for the inmates.
People are asking what the fuck the Rumple defense is. So, the Rumple defense is not it's not like, it's a defensive strategy. Kind of like the Chewbacca defense, okay? So, basically, the defense is and relies on defending the innocent or guilty against the establishment, often using unorthodox methods, wit, and deep knowledge of criminal law to secure acquittals. So, somebody employing a Rumple defense is very much trying to read between the lines of the law and get their client off on a technicality. That is more or less what the quote-unquote Rumple defense is. And again, it's just an attorney strategy.
It's not better. And then the controversies just started racking up. For instance, her incompetence caused the court to hold her in contempt because she wasn't securing transportation from inmates from the jail to the court.
A New Orleans judge is accusing the sheriff of contempt of court, and she's now being ordered to appear before that judge tomorrow afternoon. Criminal District Chief Judge Tracy Flemings Davalier says that Sheriff Susan Hudson is ignoring a court order to transport recent arrestees from jail to magistrate court on weekends and holidays. Now, during the pandemic, that process was paused, going to Zoom and then doing transports during the week. However, on June 18th, the judge issued an order.
Okay, so this must be a jurisdiction that does do court, that because there are some jurisdictions that will do weekend and holiday court appearances. It's often less congested during those days and stuff, but they still operate on those days. What must have happened is they moved those court dates to Zoom court, and they were trying to, after the COVID epidemic, move it back to in-person court. And she wasn't able to facilitate any of this because as an elected sheriff, usually in a more rural area like this, you're going to end up having the sheriff is in charge of the jails, and they're in charge of the focus of, you know, the sheriff department.
For Hudson to resume those weekend and holiday
Would acquittal by jury nullification be a Rumple defense? No. No, that would be... you as a lawyer or as a prosecutor, it doesn't really matter. You're not trying to get the jury to invoke jury nullification. Or the judge to nullify the jury, sorry. Yeah, you're not trying to confuse your jury so fucking much that the judge has to step in and nullify their decision because you fucked with their brain so much. No. That's not a Rumple defense.
Sports beginning this past Saturday.
Now, this became so bad, they were going to sentence her to like 6 months in prison with a $500 fine. But the appeals court last second stepped in and said, let's slow it down because she is...
No, it doesn't matter if she's... Oh my fucking God. I hate so much that people in any kind of position of authority where they should be held accountable more than the average person, the courts go, oh no, they're sheriffs, so they can't be punished right now. Fucking bullshit. They're not doing their job. They're ignoring court orders. I'm holding them in contempt. God damn it.
sheriff.
Last Friday, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals temporarily suspended Sheriff Susan Hudson's contempt of court ruling at the last minute, and WWL exclusively.
Yeah, but I think they're referring to a jury that says not guilty. We don't care for the evidence. The law sucks. Yeah, you're not going for Saper. Even in that case, you're no one's going for jury nullification. No one. If a jury member during voir dire fucking even mentions that they know about jury nullification, you fucking get rid of him, and then you bring in an entire new rotation because they just fucking poisoned the fucking jury pool. Yeah, no, even in that instance, you're not going for jury nullification.
Received the documents supporting that stay by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, you suck balls.
Sheriff Susan Hudson was set to face up to 6 months imprisonment or a fine of up to $500. That's because the chief judge of Orleans Parish Criminal Court held the sheriff contempt of court for failing to provide a staff of deputies for magistrate court for weekend sessions.
Now, if being found in contempt of court is not enough, the money started becoming a little funny. Now, context is key. During Mardi Gras, the city is packed. Local law enforcement needs backup. The sheriff backfills her staff by bringing officers from other parishes, since these officers are...
Yeah, but during that time, for Mardi Gras, what usually happens is the people who come out from outside precincts and they come in, that sheriff's department will pay for hotel rooms for the outside officers to use while they're there supporting. Oh yeah, you never expressly argue it, but you can argue the lack of intent. Okay, yeah, okay, Saper, yeah, you cheeky little... Yeah, that's true, you can do that. But is she the country's worst sheriff? I don't know about that. Well, there have been some really bad sheriffs countrywide. But this might be the worst sheriff in Louisiana, we don't know.
Coming from out of town, the protocol is to reserve hotel rooms for them so they can have a place to stay while they work those grueling shifts. Now, as per protocol, the sheriff reserved a total of 90 rooms across multiple hotels. And obviously these rooms couldn't be used by the sheriff's own staff because they lived in the city and they could just go home. So why would the sheriff's department need to pay for hotel rooms for the local staff? They live there.
Information from the New Orleans office.
You don't pay, you don't know. No, that's not, I'm sorry, no. If your deputies reside in your local area, they stay at their home, they do not get a hotel room from Mardi Gras. What the fuck?
Office of Inspector General about Sheriff Hudson's hotel reservations during Mardi Gras. The rooms were supposed to be used by law enforcement who had to drive into town to help the NOPD during parades. But in a new report, the Inspector General finds that the sheriff reserved 13 rooms at the Omni Royal Orleans for her command staff, not for any out-of-town.
13 rooms for local. Oh Jesus! Pop out. Hold on. Hold on. I had to mute. Hold on. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, no, Papa Elfpire just walked in and he was talking about this new battery technology where all you do is you add distilled water and salt to this battery pack and then it will conduct electrolysis in which it actually will produce a charge for like emergency charging for you, like your phones and stuff. He was just really, he was nerding out about it, that's all.
Her staff members stayed there for a total of 37 nights, but the sheriff had reserved and paid for 90 nights.
No, what the fuck? You spent...
But the sheriff had reserved and paid for
So much.
90 nights. The total cost...
You spent 90 nights? 3 months? What? The fucking...
cost of about $18,000, and according to the OIG, most of that came from the 53 nights when the rooms remained empty.
So the sheriff had a lot to answer for. Why is your staff staying in high-end hotels when they live in the same city? Here's what the sheriff had to say.
I don't see a controversy here, no. I see this as being money well spent to make sure that $1 million was also well spent.
That was Orleans Parish Sheriff.
What did you just say?
To make sure that $1 million controversy here, no. I see this as being money well spent to make sure that $1 million was also well spent.
Oh my god. You had $1 million budget and you fucking... You frivolously wasted money to ensure that you would keep that $1 million budget. That way you didn't have to deal with a deficit for next year. Because what you don't use, and that's a surplus, and they don't give you the same amount of what you owe, you fucking dumb bitch. That's not money. Yeah, that logic is not logic. No, that's fucking, oh my god.
Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson.
Fucking excuse me? That's one of my new favorite ones. McFucking excuse me.
Defending her decision to house 13 top deputies at local hotels.
13 of your bodies? Kristen Morales, Laura Veazey, Corey Amaker, Dana Busby, Earl Fox, Anthony Fricano, Ernest Newman, Tanya Picard, John Scott, Silas Phipps, Kevin Talley. Oh wow, look at this one, guys. Brian Kisha, Crusto, and Lance Wade.
Some for 11 days and nights while they helped with Carnival Parade security. But within hours of that interview, here was Hudson again.
An honorary deputy of the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office.
Love my sheriff.
That was Hudson thanking the owners of LA Canine, a police dog training company in Vermilion Parish. The company agreed to donate more than $19,000.
God damn it. Fucking conflict of interest bull. Oh, Jesus God.
To pay for those hotel rooms at the Omni Royal Orleans, Sheraton, and Marriott. However, in this Facebook post by one of the owners, Lance Broussard, he characterized the donation as helping the sheriff with, quote, a little problem.
So crisis averted.
Crisis is not averted. Crisis. Hold on, crisis is far from averted. Hold on, we're going back frame by frame. I love his transitions, by the way. And help her out with a little problem. You donated her the money that she needed to no longer be in trouble because she spent money frivolously and in a manner that was wasteful. You covered up her wasteful spending with a donation. This does not help anyone.
Problem.
So crisis averted. The city got all its money back and the sheriff was off the hook. Now, we got a problem. We got this woman who's been elected sheriff. She's supposed to be in charge of running a jail, but has no experience running jails. So things kind of got out of control.
Legislative audit just released today scrutinized 3 years of operations at the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Department. It found over 1,000 instances of potential payroll fraud, leading to chronic staff shortages.
Over 1,000 instances of potential payroll fraud. So you're not paying your jailers. Which is why the jail is going to shit. Oh, come on.
And missing cell block security patrols. The auditor found deputies performed less than 30% of required sale checks.
less than 30%. If you guys are going to deal with a fucking security breach, you're going to deal with escapees. If you have that, oh my god, the fucking deputies that are even showing up aren't even doing their patrols. This is how you get, like, prison breaks and shit like that.
And some cell blocks just performing 4% of those timed security patrols.
Oh my God.
Staffing is a source of the
4%
problem,
is
according to the
horrible.
report, with some deputies allowed to double book shifts, staffing off-duty details at the same time they're scheduled to secure the jail. The auditor counting over 1,300 instances of what the report describes as this potential payroll fraud involving 107.
Where the fuck are the beds? Where the I'm sorry. Where? Please tell me this is it. Well, clearly it is, right? There's no belongings or anything. But aren't these things supposed to have pads on them? And you seriously are only giving them a single rung on their ladder? This is crazy.
79 deputies over 3 years.
So as you see, the sheriff wasn't really doing a great job. And then you had the fact that there was a massive jailbreak.
Massive manhunt.
I swear to God, I did not free-watch this. I swear to God, 10 fucking inmates. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. How did they get out? How did they get out? Is the question. Because, like, even if cops aren't doing their rounds, like, these are, like, there's magnetic locks and shit. Like, seriously. That, like, I don't know how they could just get out of a jail.
For a stunning jailbreak in New Orleans, 10 inmates escaping, some charged with murder, all considered armed and dangerous, and authorities tonight investigating whether this was an inside job. Here's ABC's Maria Villarreal.
Inside job?
Tonight, these stunning images from inside a New Orleans jail cell where 10 inmates, some charged with murder,
Oh my God.
escaped.
Holy shit! Look at this. No, it looked like they forced the door open. That does look, maybe the cops or maybe a maintenance worker. Let's see, that's one. Oh, hold on. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nine.
Citywide manhunt.
And
the
10.
toilet dislodged.
Oh my God. They got through that? Like, aren't these big people? Bro. They fucking ripped. Look at this. They ripped. Wow. Oh, out of the wall. Jesus.
From a cell wall, exposing an.
That looks like desperation. That looks like, guys, if we don't escape, we're gonna die in here. That looks like, seriously. Holy shit. That's really bad.
Opening scrawled on the wall above, "We innocent and too easy," with an arrow toward the hole where
Too easy, LOL. Oh my God, I
they
love
escaped out of view of the officer on duty.
Yeah, the inmate was right. This was too easy. So here's what authorities said happened.
Authorities say it happened just after midnight when the inmates broke a lock on a cell door.
They were still able to exit the jail about 1:01 a.m. after breaching a wall behind a toilet in the jail. And based on video surveillance, they were seen exiting a door on the docks where we normally bring in supplies, scaling a wall and running across the interstate.
Officials believe the escapees had help.
These detainees received assistance in their escape from individuals inside of our department.
They say the toilet could not be removed with bare hands, suggesting someone inside the jail system may have helped the inmates unscrew it with a power tool.
And yes, there was an inside man. Police arrested him.
The hunt continues for the inmates still.
Okay, so who was the insider? Was it a guard or a janitor or Who was it?
At large after breaking out of the local jail in New Orleans. But cops say they've found the inside man they believed helped them. A maintenance worker at the jail has been arrested, accused.
Shut off the water. Yeah, because here's the thing. If they were able to get the toilet off, wouldn't there be water everywhere? It would have alerted the guard. So the maintenance worker probably provided tools to them and shut off the water so they could even do that.
Of cutting off the water.
The jail worker has been identified as 33-year-old Sterling Williams. He reportedly claims he was coerced into turning off the water by an inmate who threatened to shank him if he didn't play ball.
Now, just to put everyone's mind at ease, all 10 of those convicts were returned back to prison.
In another development months in the making, the last of 10 inmates who escaped from a Louisiana jail in May was captured today in Atlanta.
Officials say a Crime Stoppers tip this summer led them there, and they found the fugitive hiding in a crawl space.
10 men who escaped from a Louisiana jail in May by crawling through a hole cut in the
months. Wow, he was on the run for months.
Wall behind a toilet. Wow. Above the hole, someone had written messages to the jailers, including this misspelled one, "Too easy, LOL." Groves was the last of the 10 escapees to be found and also the most violent. He was convicted of murdering 2 men on Mardi Gras in 2018. The New Orleans
And he stayed in Louisiana? Dude, I would have left the state if I had it. Are you fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ.
Prosecutor says he is facing multiple life sentences.
So obviously it seems like
Oh wait, no, he went to Atlanta, Georgia.
we had a bigger problem at play here. So state investigators looked at the whole department to see how things were being run. And after their investigation, they decided it was time to indict the sheriff.
We start with some major breaking news. Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson indicted in connection with an investigation into last year's jailbreak in New Orleans.
So this indictment comes in connection with a state investigation by Attorney General Liz Murrell's office into last year's mass escape by 10 inmates. The bombshell news came down within just the last hour.
Arrest warrants released Thursday outlined some of the state's evidence, alleging Hudson ignored years of federal monitors' repeated warnings that, quote, enabled 10 dangerous inmates to escape and remain undetected for hours. The warrant describes the jail as understaffed and inmates unsupervised, often relying on one staff member to monitor multiple pods from a control room rather than inside the pod. The warrant also alleges security logs were falsified, and the prison's high security unit.
So they're falsifying security logs as well. Oh yeah, we definitely patrolled during these times. No, you didn't.
Dissolved. During hours of unsupervised time, a federal monitor found inmates were, quote, assaulting other inmates, assaulting staff, destroying property, starting fires, smoking, possessing dangerous contraband, and or threatening self-harm.
So
in addition to 14 malfeasance charges and
anarchy.
3 charges of filing or maintaining false public records, Hudson is also accused of obstructing justice and conspiring with CFO Bianca Brown to defy a court order. Brown was indicted on 20 similar counts. The arrest warrants are just a peek at the evidence to come.
So now the sheriff's been arrested, got bond, and made a statement saying, hey, this is not what it seems.
Susan Hudson says she expects complete vindication as she faces 30 felony counts.
In a statement released late Thursday, Sheriff Susan Hudson said she will, quote, aggressively fight to clear my name. And she is, quote, confident the facts will vindicate both me personally and the work I have done. Fox 8 legal analyst Joe Responti expects unsurprising strategies from defense attorneys and state prosecutors.
The defense is going to say that, hey, we tried as hard as we could, we just weren't good enough, and you can't convict somebody for being not good at what their job is.
Now this left me to thinking, who the hell is running the city of New Orleans? The mayor's indicted.
It has been a historic day in New Orleans for the
So the mayor and the sheriff are both indicted. How the fuck is New Orleans still alive?
The first time a sitting mayor of New Orleans is facing federal charges. Today, a federal grand jury handed up an indictment against Mayor LaToya Cantrell and her former bodyguard, Jeffrey Vappy. She faces 11 counts, including wire fraud, obstruction, and lying to a grand jury. This all centers around their alleged romantic relationship and how much it cost the city of New Orleans.
Okay, so it seems like the sheriff is going to say, hey, just because I'm bad at my job doesn't mean it's criminal. Yes, I had no experience ever in law enforcement, and I got the top law enforcement job because I am extremely progressive. That doesn't mean this is criminal. I'm just bad at being a sheriff. And it's going to be the prosecutors that are going to have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it was more than that she falsified documents, as you heard, that she intentionally let the jail deteriorate to a point where these things could happen, and then on top of that, lied about it. So who do you think has the better case, the prosecution or the defense? Do you think this sheriff is going to jail? If you're here at this point in the video, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. My name is NateTheLawyer. I'm out.
Crazy. Criminally incompetent. Yeah, no. I think there's some positions where you don't get to be like, yes, actually being incompetent at this job could be criminal. You know, being incompetent as a doctor can very well end up being, you know, a criminal problem, if not a civil problem.
Imagine you...
No, hey, calm down, Ray William Johnson. We're not done yet. Alright, so, I don't do this often, but we do have a Ray William Johnson video to react to. This one is called Date Got Destroyed, and it covers a criminal harassment campaign that was orchestrated by companies by employees involved with eBay. This fucking lovely old elderly little couple, because I've read about this case. This elderly couple did, I think it was the wife? No, it might have been the husband. One of them did, this review thing where they did reviews and reporting on e-commerce sites. So they would write reviews and talk about Amazon, they talk about eBay, they talk about Craigslist, they talk about all these things, right? Well, apparently, during one of these times, they had some criticism for eBay. I don't even remember what about. I think it was criticism for the CEO, actually, in his pay. Like, he was getting paid way too much for his position. So the CEO responds by launching a fucking stalking and harassment campaign that's honestly one for the ages. I can't even remember all the things that eBay did to this poor couple, but it damn near drove them fucking crazy, and I think it almost killed them. Almost killed the husband, I think. It's the wife. I know the story. Okay. Well, here we go. Let's have eBay. Don't you mean GameStop soon? No, I mean eBay. I mean fucking eBay.
Imagine you criticize a billion-dollar company online, and then they retaliate by stalking you. Now, this all starts with this woman, Ina. And Ina's around 60 years old, living in Massachusetts with her husband, this guy, David. And Ina and David, they run a website out of their home, where Ina basically blogs about online shopping platforms like eBay and Etsy and Amazon, platforms like that. And one day in 2019, Ina writes a blog post that changes their lives forever. She writes about the CEO of eBay. And she says that this guy gets paid like $18 million a year, which is 152 times.
Holy fucking shit. Yeah, I'm all for capitalism. But just as we have a minimum wage for very important reasons, I really think in some instances we need a maximum wage. We just do. Because there's nowhere you can explain to me how the CEO of a website company like eBay gets paid 152 times more than all the fucking employees who are doing all the work. I'm not at Eat the Rich yet, but I am at cap their earning potential.
What regular employees at eBay make. And so thousands of...
Everyone wants to eat the rich. Wait. I just realized I'm a vampire. Are you guys just asking me to literally drink the blood of the rich so you don't have to deal with them anymore? You guys aren't actually cannibals. You just want me to eat the rich. You want me to do your dirty work for you. I get it.
People regularly read her blog, and they leave comments like, "That guy makes way too much," and "What an overpaid empty suit," and "First, But here's the thing. The comms director of eBay, he happens to see this article, and he shares it around the company. And that is when the CEO of eBay himself sees it. And he gets super pissed, because, they're talking about him. And he decides he's gonna retaliate. And so he texts the comms director, take her down. And the comms director texts back, we're gonna crush this lady. I want to see ashes, as long as it takes, whatever it takes. And so a revenge plot begins against an elderly couple who have no idea what's about to hit them. And so soon after that, Ina starts noticing some rather intimidating posts about her on Twitter, like that her website.
Okay, I have seen that people don't realize that Elfpire is just that. It's elf, a vampire. So, I'm going to show you guys my public-facing character sheet. This is Eva. She is an elf, a vampire, specifically a snow elf, a vampire. If you are thinking in terms of D&D, think a elf native to Icewind Dale. If you are thinking in terms of the Elder Scrolls, think a snow elf before they were betrayed from the Elder Scrolls. She is technically level 13. Some of these I actually have to approve, but she is a snow elf vampire. This is not Elfpire does not stand for Elf Empire. It does not stand for anything other than that.
Site is hurting eBay users, and she sees posts from people threatening to visit her home address. Then she starts getting threatening DMs like, shut up, bitch, or watch what happens. One day, she receives a strange package in the mail from an anonymous sender, and when she opens it up, it's full of live cockroaches. Then another anonymous delivery comes, and it's a box full.
What is that? Why are people sending bugs? What the fuck?
Full of live fly larvae and spiders. Oh, and it doesn't stop there. Strangers start showing up at Ina and David's house at all hours of the night. And they don't knock on the front door or anything. They just try opening it up and walking in. And poor Ina and David, they can't figure out why this is happening. So they go online and they find out that their home address has been posted on Craigslist in multiple ads for sex parties.
Oh my god. Okay. Look, up until this point, it was getting creepy. This is D20 friendly, what? D20 friendly? What does that mean? What do you mean you're D&D friendly? What the fuck? Dude, this is crazy.
Specifically inviting anyone and everyone to come right in, no need to knock. So these random people were just showing up to smash. Now, at this point, Ina and David, they know something is very wrong.
Yeah,
so
obviously.
they call the police. And later, a police officer shows up to file a report. And as he's leaving their house, he sees a package on the front porch. And when Ina opens it up, she screams because she sees what looks like blood and hair and flesh. Someone had apparently sent her a pig mask.
Are you kidding me? Why is it getting worse?
Like the one worn by the killer in the Saw movie. And the police officer is there to witness this whole thing.
Well, look, that's actually good. The police officer was actually present when some of the harassing behavior actually presented itself. So this is actually best case scenario, just in the sense that now the cops are obviously going to take this seriously. They're actually going to investigate because the cop didn't even have time to fucking... he didn't even have time to take a report before he came out and there's another package.
Then Ina gets a DM from an anonymous Twitter account. Says, did you get my gifts, cunt? Do I have your attention now? Then the user posts her home address publicly. And so this online harassment, it keeps going on and on. And Ina and David still have no idea who's behind all this. Regardless, Ina doesn't shut down her website or anything like that. She refuses to be silenced. She keeps posting. And in one post, she criticizes the CEO of eBay for building a very large, expensive lounge bar on eBay's campus. And she notes his wasteful spending while eBay sellers are being charged more and more fees. And the eBay comms director sees this post, and then he gets all mad, and he texts his employees, "I want her done. She is a biased troll that needs to get burned down." So then, more of eBay's security team are directed to harass Ina and David.
Bill, how can you... What, do you think you just have the fucking Pinkertons that you beck and call? That you can get your security team to harass random people? What the fuck?
So things just keep getting worse. At one point, David gets a package in the mail, and when he opens it, it's a book about how to survive the loss of a spouse. Then shortly after, he receives a funeral wreath, suggesting that they're threatening to kill his wife. Around the same time, 4 employees from eBay fly from California to Massachusetts, and they rent cars and they drive past Ina and David's house repeatedly at all hours of the day and night. In fact, every time David leaves the house, he's followed. Then, eBay employees make a plan to break into David and Ina's garage and install a GPS tracker on their car. But apparently this plan ends up failing, luckily for David and Ina. So now, David and Ina, they know they're being watched. And so Ina suggests that they start sleeping in separate rooms. That way, if someone breaks in, at least one of them can escape. While David, he installs cameras all around the house, and he stops sleeping through the night so that he can check the cameras every 2 hours. Sometimes he'll see people outside their house dropping off more anonymous deliveries at like 4 a.m. So over time, these two become too scared to even leave their house. And to make it worse, they no longer trust delivery services. So eventually, they start running out of food. And so one day, David decides that he's got to leave to go get groceries. And as he's driving to the grocery store, he sees a silver SUV in his rear view. So he gasses it to speed away, and he takes a sudden turn, but the SUV is still on him. So he takes another sudden turn, but the SUV is still on him.
Go to the cops.
And so David starts to panic, and he calls the police, and he tells them, "I'm being followed."
Right to the
and
cop.
from there, he drives directly to the police station.
Good boy,
and he
good
pulls
boy.
up right out front. And
Good
that
job.
is when the SUV sees that they're
Fuck
now at the
yeah.
police station, and it speeds away. But then, poor
too late.
David, he gets out to walk to the station, and his heart is all racing, and he can't breathe, and suddenly, boom, he collapses from all the panic. Now, luckily, David was able to get a picture of the SUV and its license plate. And so later, police figure out that the silver SUV was a rental and that it was rented to a woman who works at eBay. And so suddenly, kaboom, it finally all makes sense. And that is when Ina and David finally realize that this was a coordinated harassment campaign run by the top execs at eBay, a billion-dollar corporation,
Holy shit.
and it's meant to torture them into silence. And this is a huge story. So police contact the FBI and they get the FBI involved, and the FBI starts investigating, and they look into everything. The Twitter accounts, the deliveries, the Craigslist ads, and they trace all of it back to 7 different employees of eBay's security team. And so, bam, all 7 of them are arrested.
Good.
Now, of course, news of this gets out, and it blows the fuck up. And all 7 of the security employees plead guilty, with several of them getting years in prison.
As they fucking
However, the same can't be said for the execs at eBay who these employees took orders from.
Yeah, how did that
Because,
happen?
as you would expect, eBay conducted an internal investigation of themselves, and guess what? They determined that they did no wrongdoing. And the comms director who wrote, "I want to see ashes," he faced no criminal charges, and he's now currently a very well-paid CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Silicon Valley. While the CEO of eBay, who said, "Take her down," that guy, after the stalking scandal broke, this CEO, he acknowledged no wrongdoing, and he resigned. But he left the company and he walked away with a $57 million severance package. And of course, he faced no criminal charges, and now he's on the board of directors of General Motors. While eBay itself, the company, is criminally charged, and they pay a $3 million fine, which is like nothing to them, but all that money goes to the government, not to Ina and David. Now, eventually, Ina and David do sue eBay in civil court, and eBay settles with them out of court for an undisclosed amount. Hopefully, it was millions.
Yeah. No, oh my god, 3 seconds.
You know that bingo?
No, shut up! God damn it! Why is there a 3 second? I gotta turn off autoplay. That's crazy, it only gives me 3 seconds to react, basically. Alright, so we have two more things to watch, which is cool. We have Manifesto. Oh, no. This is the next one, excuse me. The most American success story ever told. Sriracha. Sriracha's actually pretty funny to me. The reason why, sir, I don't know the story behind it, but Sriracha is not, like, that's the hot sauce with the chicken and the Chinese characters on it, right? But the weird thing is Sriracha is a sauce, but it comes from its place of origin in Thailand. Sriracha, Thailand. Yeah, I believe is the place. So, why in the world is a Chinese zodiac of a chicken with Mandarin writing having to do with Sriracha hot sauce, which, again, Sriracha is in Thailand? It makes no sense. Anyway. I'm sure that our friend here, well, not my friend, excuse me, I'm trying to be parasocial. I'm sure that a fat electrician here is from California. Oh. I thought it was from China or Thailand. In Thailand, just use China's fucking shit.
I'm slowly coming to accept the fact there's absolutely nothing I can do without falling into a rabbit hole. I quit eating hot sauce like 10 years ago, went and bought a bottle of my old favorite hot sauce, and it tastes different, and now I'm reading appeals from the 2nd Appellate Court District of California. Today we're talking about Sriracha. Okay, like 10 years ago, it used to be my favorite hot sauce, and then one day there was some huge shortage of Sriracha. Nobody could get it. There was like...
in. Tanamak. Sorry about that.
A drought or a lawsuit or something, and the only place you could find it was on eBay for like $300 a bottle. It was insane. So like a normal person, I switched to a different product and haven't really looked back since. And then 3 days ago, I got a wild hair up my ass for whatever reason that I wanted some Sriracha. The drought or whatever was causing it to be messed up 10 years ago is probably over, and I could probably just go to the store and buy a bottle of Sriracha. So that's what I did. So I go, I find it on the shelf. I find what I know to be Sriracha, you know, the green little cap with the squeezy bottle with the chicken on it. And then right next to it is like 5 other bottles of hot sauce that are all claiming to also be Sriracha.
But I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
Okay, that's weird. Usually, like knockoffs, you're allowed to knock off a product, but you have to like call it something different. You can't just be like, I'm gonna make a knockoff of Coca-Cola and call it Coca-Cola. You're gonna get sued into oblivion. Why is the term Sriracha not trademarked? But you know what? Doesn't matter because I know what the real Sriracha is. So I grab a bottle of cock sauce, I go, I check out, I take it home, I eat the Sriracha. This is not Sriracha. I don't know what it is. Doesn't taste the same. Okay, it's been 10 years. Could my taste buds?
I think I remember this. I actually think I remember this case. I don't remember the specifics, but basically, for the longest time, the person who made Sriracha sourced their red jalapeno peppers. Yeah, they sourced their red jalapeno peppers that they use in the Sriracha sauce. They sourced it locally, and and it was like freshly, like literally, they would harvest it and then they would ship it to the factory to make it in the hot sauce like hours later. Like it was as fresh of ingredients as you can get. But there was a point where there was some other company, I think it was called Chilico or something, because this is a case that made it all the way through the California Court of Appeals. So I think it was like Chilico or something, but they for some reason became the company that was responsible for procuring the jalapenos that they were going to use, and they like fucked around a bunch, and they ended up like getting chilies from China that were dehydrated and shipped overseas. It was a whole big thing.
Have changed? No, I'm fat. An elephant never forgets. I know what Sriracha is, and that shit's not Sriracha. Okay, something's gone horribly wrong, and I need to figure out what it is. My initial thought was, okay, over the course of the past 10 years, some investment firm, some venture capitalist group bought out Sriracha, added a bunch of preservatives, changed the recipe, made it worse so they could improve profit margins and make a bunch of money, and ruined a perfectly good product. Per usual, that's probably what happened. Then I look into it. I was wrong. It's way worse. Let's just get to the ad. I'm upset.
Worse? How is it worse?
Mom. Hey, Dad. Mom wants to know why there's 50 of these in the kitchen.
It's a long story. Just tell her I needed it, okay? Just give me that. Fine. Anything else?
So
is he drinking?
She doesn't know why there's 50 of the hot sauces in the kitchen.
Yeah, well, neither does the audience yet. We're getting to that part.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, we got to tell them the whole story first.
But tell us why there's 50 of those hot sauces in the kitchen.
I will, but you got to watch the whole video. Now look at the camera and say, delete me.
Delete me.
Perfect. High five. Love you.
Right.
See you later. This video is brought to you by Delete Me. Okay, super simple, straightforward business model. You give them money, they turn around and make sure the data brokers aren't selling your personal information on the internet. Okay, what does that even mean? I'll break it down for you. All right, everything that you use, or pretty much everything that you use on the internet that's free isn't actually free. They're turning you into a product. You see, pretty much anytime you check that little box that says, I agree to the terms and conditions, what you're allowing that company to do is harvest all of your personal data. They turn around, they sell it to data brokers, and then the data brokers turn around, throw it up for auction for companies to bid on so that they can target you with hyper-specific ads 24/7. But when you have Delete Me, they monitor all the big data brokers, and anytime your personal information pops up for sale on one of their websites, Delete Me automatically fills out an opt-out request, which they legally have to abide by and stop selling your information. And then Delete Me continues to monitor these sites in case they acquire that information again. They will resubmit the opt-out request again. Simply put, a subscription to Delete Me is what actually makes everything that's free on the internet truly free. In my opinion, it's definitely worth it. I've been using them since before they were paying me to talk about them, and I'm going to keep using them after they quit paying me to talk about them. If you want to give it a try, I'll have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, we're just going to take it from the top. Our story begins in 1975. The communists take over Vietnam. Living inside of Vietnam at this point in time is a 30-year-old man of Chinese descent by the name of David Tran. And as far as I can tell, David Tran is just a normal dude that has a hobby of making hot sauce in his free time. Okay, ethnically, he's Chinese, but he was born in Vietnam. He spent his his entire life in Vietnam, he's Vietnamese by all accounts, okay? But the communist government, over the course of the next couple of years, starts adopting anti-Chinese policies, and eventually he is forced to flee his home country of Vietnam and board a ship with 3,000 other Vietnamese people of Chinese descent, and that ship's name is the Hoi Phong. Now, the Hoi Phong is supposed to be taking all these people to Hong Kong so they can be refugees, but Hong Kong at this point in time is being run by the British, and the British are like, no, we're not fucking taking you. So they're stuck out on this ship for over a month, not knowing where they're gonna go, and finally America steps in and is like, it's fine, bring them here, we'll take everybody in as refugees. So now David Tran, at 33 years old, finds himself in California, doesn't speak English well, if at all. He's here through absolutely no fault of his own, and he's got to figure out how to make a living, and the only thing he's got is hot sauce. He doesn't need to speak English, he doesn't need to have technical skills, because everybody appreciates a good hot sauce. If he can make it and sell it, that's going to be how he makes his living. So that's what he does. He starts making his hot sauce, and he's literally refilling old baby food jars with a spoon and funnel with this homemade hot sauce, and then hand delivering it on a bicycle to restaurants and anybody else that'll buy it. And the dude is just working his ass off doing this. He's working 18 hours a day. There's even a story that one of his kids tells later in life that when they were a baby, he would work for 18 hours a day making this hot sauce, and he would have all the, juices and everything all over his arms, and he wasn't even able to hold his kids when they were babies because he smelled so much like pepper and hot sauce it would make the kids cry. Like, it's impossible not to love and respect this guy. Like, dude is just forced into the worst situation imaginable, has to move to a foreign land where he doesn't speak the language, and just works his ass off and does everything he can to provide for his family. And it works. His hot sauce becomes like a cult thing in LA, and by 1980, he buys a 5,000 square foot warehouse where he ramps up production. Okay, do you understand how impressive that is? Like, I'm gonna say it a little bit slower. He moved to California, doesn't even speak English in 1978, and by 1980, 2 years later, he buys a 5,000 square foot warehouse in LA, which is renowned for having cheap real estate. Okay, this dude is a complete badass. Okay, so he gets this new factory up and running. Once he does that, he adds a couple of new flavors, and one of them is going to be based off of a Thai-style hot sauce known as Sriracha. Sriracha was the town that this style of hot sauce was originally invented in, so he just calls it Sriracha. He slaps a chicken on the bottle because that's his zodiac sign, and then puts a bunch of Chinese shit all over it, and he calls his company Hoi Phong Foods, named after the ship that brought him to America. Okay, just so we're on the same page, a Vietnamese guy flees communism, moves to America, starts a hot sauce company, takes a recipe from Thailand, puts it inside of a Chinese branded bottle, and then sells a shit ton of it to achieve the American dream. I love everything about this story. It's the most American shit ever. From here, over the coming years, Sriracha becomes outrageously popular. At this point, he probably should have trademarked it. Couple of problems. One, you can't really trademark Sriracha because the word Sriracha is just the name of the town the sauce was created in. It'd be like somebody trying to trademark the word Los Angeles. You can't do it. So at this point, most people would be like, okay, we're going to give it a different name so that we can trademark it. But David Tran is like, no, we're calling it Sriracha. I don't care. If you want to make another hot sauce and also call it Sriracha, that's fine. I'm still going to win because my shit's better. He's just a complete gangster about the entire thing.
Patents for the week.
Okay, another $1 into the reasons you should love David Tran jar. Like, that is the best attitude on the planet. Like, I'm going to beat you not because my lawyers made it illegal for you to compete with me. I'm going to beat you by just beating you and outperforming you and giving the customer a better product. And while that is a great attitude to have, great attitude alone isn't going to make a great product. A great plan is, and David Tran has that plan. Hoi Phong Foods is going to make their Sriracha by using fresh, locally sourced ingredients. He is buying red jalapeno peppers from local farmers, having them picked in the field, taken straight to his factory, and turned into hot sauce the exact same day. Is that cost effective? Absolutely not. He could probably make way more money, have way better margins if he was buying a bunch of shit from overseas that was dehydrated, thrown into a barrel, and shipped across the ocean, but that's not what he wants to do. He wants to have it fresh, and he wants to support the American economy. He literally says he locally sources everything that he puts into his hot sauce as his way of giving back to America for bringing him into this country as a refugee. Okay, impossible not to love this guy. Comes to America, works his ass off, does not compromise on morals whatsoever. Like, I'm gonna do the right thing, I'm gonna create a superior product, I'm gonna support my people, and I'm gonna fucking win, and that's exactly what he does. Fast forward, by 1988, he's selling so much hot sauce that he's having trouble sourcing enough red jalapenos to be able to keep up with demand, and a local farmer, Craig Underwood, the owner of Underwood Ranch, hears about his issue and writes him a letter. Not an email, not a text message, doesn't give him a call, writes him a letter that literally just says, and I quote, do you want me to grow you some peppers? To which David Tran is like, hell yeah, grow me some peppers. I need a lot more peppers. So Underwood Ranches starts planting these red jalapeno peppers. And because the ranch is so close to his factory, they're actually able to pick the peppers, put them directly onto a semi-truck, drive them straight to the factory, and within 6 hours, they are turned into hot sauce. And this is what makes Sriracha so good. They're using the freshest ingredients possible, not a bunch of dehydrated shit that they can buy from anybody. So Sriracha explodes in popularity even more. Okay, and it's worth noting, he's not even trying to market Sriracha. The product markets itself. Sriracha has never spent a single penny on advertising or anything else. It's just like, you try it, you like it, you buy more, the end. That's David Tran's entire business model. I create a superior product, the customers will come to me. And it works. Sriracha starts hitting mainstream. It's getting sold all over the United States, at which point Sriracha does start getting some backlash. There's interviewers and reporters asking questions like, hey, why don't you make it a little bit milder? Some people say it's too hot, to which David Tran responded, and I quote, then use less. Hot sauce is supposed to be hot. Duh.
This motherfucker don't miss.
Now, the relationship between Underwood Ranch and Hoi Fong Foods goes on in a conventional sense for like the first 10 years. Basically, Underwood Ranch grows some red jalapeno peppers. They sell them by the pound to Hoi Fong Foods. That's how it's normally supposed to go. And by the end of that 10-year period, Underwood Ranch is supplying 95% of all the red jalapenos to Hoi Fong Foods. And Hoi Fong Foods is accounting for approximately 25% of Underwood Ranch's business. The problem is Sriracha is getting more and more popular by the day, and he needs more red jalapeno peppers, and he wants Underwood Farms to grow them because they have a great relationship. So he goes to Craig Underwood and is like, hey, I need you to grow more red peppers. To which Craig Underwood is like, hey, look, you're accounting for 25% of my business already. That's probably too much for diversity. Like, if I lose you as a client, I'm going to go out of business. I can't risk growing more of, my available land on these red peppers because it's just too risky. I can't do it. Go ahead and buy some red peppers from somebody else. I'll keep supplying you as much as I possibly can, though.
How about no?
But David Tran doesn't take no for an answer. He's like, no, you grow the best red jalapeno peppers. I need you to do it. You're the best at it. Here's the deal. Rather than you footing the risk of having to grow these peppers and then me buying them by the pound, I will pay you up front for every acre of these peppers that you plant. Meaning that David Tran is now footing the risk of, if there's a drought or, a famine or there's a bad crop, whatever, the fault and the risk is no longer on Underwood Ranches. It is now on Hoi Fong Foods, which is a deal that Craig Underwood just can't turn down. So he agrees. And from here, as far as I can tell, they shake on it, and that's that. There's no contracts, no nothing. Underwood Ranches over the coming years converts all of their farm into just growing red jalapeno peppers for Hoi Fong Foods. The entire thing is one crop for one client on a handshake agreement. And you know what? It works like a charm. And now that Underwood Ranches is only growing one crop, they start to become experts in growing red jalapeno peppers. Him and his right-hand guy, a guy by the name of Roberts, actually develop and build a harvester so they can harvest all of the peppers with a machine rather than sending people out into a field to pick them by hand. And this goes on for years. Craig Underwood and David Tran actually become really good friends. They watch each other's kids grow up. They're going to each other's houses for holidays. Everything is perfect. And then by 2007, David Tran has a meeting with Craig Underwood and is like, hey, you need to make your farm bigger because I'm going to need more peppers because I am buying a new factory that's going to be 600,000 square feet. Okay, and if you don't know, acquiring more farmland is not a simple process by any stretch of the imagination, pretty much anywhere in the United States, but especially in places like the Midwest or California, where real estate is notoriously expensive. But from Craig Underwood's perspective, this is, not just a business acquaintance. This is my homie. He knows where I live. He knows my kids. We've been working together for 20 years at this point. If he needs it, I'm going to get it done. Underwood Ranches invests millions and millions of dollars and acquires 1,800 additional acres close to the new Hoi Fong Foods factory so they can keep supplying them. Now, presumably some of that land was bought, but a lot of it had to be leased. And when you lease farmland, you're leasing farmland for decades at a time. Nobody is leasing farmland for like a year or a couple years at a time. It's like, no, you're going to sign a lease and you're going to be on the hook for this lease for the next 30 years, which is extremely risky for Underwood Farms, but he's betting on Sriracha. This thing is blowing up. It's selling fucking everywhere, and he's been with this guy for 20 years, it seems like a sure thing. Okay, and if you weren't around or you don't remember, in like the 2010s, Sriracha was absolutely everywhere, right? Like they were putting Sriracha on hats, shirts. Lay's had a potato chip Sriracha flavor, and David Tran got paid for none of that, by the way. He could have probably sued for trademark infringement, not for the word Sriracha, but for the use of his rooster logo, but he never did because he just viewed the entire thing as free advertisement, which it absolutely was. Like if you're in the hot sauce aisle looking for a new hot sauce, you're like, oh, I've seen 17 hipsters wearing a Sriracha hats and Sriracha shirts, and there's Sriracha cookbooks and Sriracha Lay's potato chips. I'm gonna buy fucking Sriracha. So Craig Underwood goes through with it. He acquires all this new land, fronts millions and millions of dollars, puts himself on the hook for decades for this farmland, but everything's gonna work fine because Sriracha is not going anywhere, and for years, it goes great. The new 600,000 square foot factory opens up. Underwood Ranches is at full tilt making red jalapeno peppers. They are growing 100 million pounds of red jalapenos a year, delivering 50 to 60 semi-loads every single day to Hoi Fong Foods.
Spicy.
And despite this scale, they are still going from picked off the plant to turned into hot sauce in like 6 hours. Hoi Fong Foods is now a $1 billion company selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of hot sauce every single year. And Underwood Ranches is, as far as I could tell, the largest red jalapeno operation in the world. And at this point, Sriracha is continuing to grow at 20% revenue year over year, which is insane. These two men have literally made something incredible off of nothing more than a handshake agreement and both working their ass off. And then it all goes to shit.
What do you mean?
According to the court documents, in approximately 2014, David Tran wanted to give his sister-in-law, who was working for the company, a big raise, but he felt that his wife and son, who sat on the board, wouldn't approve it. So David Tran came up with an idea that he was going to make a new company and just give the company to the sister-in-law as a way to get her to make more money. And that new company was going to be called Chili Co., and Chili Co.'s entire job was going to be acquiring red jalapeno peppers and ingredients for Hoi Fong Foods, and that was going to be that's how he was going to pay his sister more money. Okay, I'm going to say that again, but slower, so we're on the same page. David Tran has just elected to hire somebody who presumably is not qualified to take over the operation of acquiring red jalapeno peppers, which is not even a job that needs to exist because he has one guy that gets him all the peppers that he needs on a handshake agreement. But for some reason, we're going to interject this person that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing to try to acquire the peppers that they already fucking have. Okay, I've said this a million times. If it's not broke, don't try to fix it. Everybody's making literally billions of dollars selling hot sauce and growing chili peppers. Just don't touch it. Leave it alone. Continue making money. But that's not what somebody that's a new hire that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about is going to do. Absolutely not. Chili Co. starts looking at the numbers and they're like, well, you know, actually, we could buy these dehydrated chilies from China and they would only be $300 a ton. So I think that Underwood Farms should try to compete with these dehydrated chilies from overseas while he's supposed to also deliver brand new fresh chilies that are picked and then turned into hot sauce in 6 hours while he's growing them in California, of all places.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
So Chili Co. goes to Craig Underwood and is like, hey, we could get this competitor's chilies for $300 a ton. We want you to be able to sell your brand new fresh chilies and deliver them to us with your semis for $500 a ton, to which Craig Underwood is like, absolutely not. It literally cost me almost $700 a ton just to grow these things. That's not possible. At which point the appropriate response would have been, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. I'm an idiot. Forget I said anything. Is that what they did? Absolutely not.
But that's simply not possible.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
The next year, in 2015, Chili Co. pulls Roberts, aka Craig Underwood's right-hand man that helps him run his entire farming operation, aside and tries to hire him away from Craig Underwood. Roberts declines and kind of attributes the entire thing to a miscommunication.
He's absolutely right.
Around the same time, David Tran gets a hold of Craig Underwood and is like, hey, can we fly a drone over your farming operation? We just want to, look at the crops that are growing, which is weird. He's never done that before, but also drones are new. I've been working with this guy for 20 some odd years. Fuck it. Why not? Yeah. As long as it's for your personal use or you just want to look at it, that's fine. Go ahead. So Hoi Fong Foods, David Tran flies a drone over, records all this footage of their farming operation, and then nothing seemingly ever comes of it. Then 2016, Craig Underwood is on vacation out of the country. They know that, so they have Roberts come to the Hoi Fong Foods factory where the Chili Co. head and David Tran basically sit Roberts down and say, hey, we're starting this new company, Chili Co. You're gonna work for us. Not asking him to work for them, pretty much telling him, you work for me now, to which Roberts is like, no, I don't. I've been working for Craig Underwood for 2 decades. That's my guy. I'm not leaving him. They get super pissed. They then turn around and are like, okay, well, we could still buy this stuff from China for $300 a ton. You're going to sell us your stuff at $500 a ton, or we're going to go elsewhere. They literally can't sell it to you at $500 a ton. It costs them almost $700 a ton to grow this shit.
No.
So not only is demanding that price delusional, this also breaks the entire thing just by going from paying by the ton to the original agreement of we're going to pay you for every acre that you plant, because it shifts all the risk back onto Underwood Farms, and now they're screwed because they only grow jalapenos at this point and they're stuck. So in the coming months, Underwood Farms tries to negotiate a new price with them, but it doesn't really go anywhere. So by the 2017 season, he's not able to plant any jalapenos, so there's no jalapenos in the ground. There is now a massive gap in the supply chain that's gonna have to be filled somehow. So Chili Co. goes about trying to buy peppers from everybody else that they possibly can, because you're never gonna believe this. Nobody has 100 million pounds of fucking jalapenos lying around, and it's really hard to find that many.
I am stunned. Just stunned.
So in an effort to help find that, they give all the drone footage of all the proprietary techniques and technology and all the intel that they had gathered through espionage to all the other jalapeno farmers without Underwood knowing.
This is bullshit.
So essentially, Underwood Farms is basically dead in the water, and they're on the hook for all these thousands of acres of farmland that they leased for the next like 20 to 30 years. Like, they're gonna go out of business. While that's going on, Chili Co. and Hoi Fong Foods are getting jalapenos from anywhere and everywhere else that they can, which means the quality isn't that great. Some of the peppers are picked too early, some of them are dehydrated, they're having to use green chilies instead of red jalapenos. It's a giant fucking nightmare, which leads to the hot sauce tasting different, looking different. It's like a burnt orange color. People are mad that the Sriracha doesn't taste like Sriracha. Nobody knows what's going on. So now presumably Hoi Fong Foods is also financially hurting, so they just start digging through all their accounting, and they're like, actually, we think a couple years back, I think we overpaid Underwood Farms like $1.5 million. We're gonna take them to court and sue them, so they have to give us $1.5 million, and that's gonna help with our financial burden.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
Okay, and I cannot stress to you enough that this is probably the dumbest fucking idea imaginable. Okay, I've been threatened with quite a few lawsuits in my day, and I have avoided all of them by saying one simple statement back to their lawyers, and that statement is, okay, sue me, I would love to go to discovery with you. Because discovery is this magical part of the judicial process where both parties have to come to the table with all of their evidence, and you can subpoena and get all of their internal records and figure out exactly what was going on, which presumably is exactly what happens. And when Chili Co. and Hoi Fong Foods have to turn over all of their shit, it becomes very apparent that they have been plotting for at least 3 years to screw over Underwood Farms, at which point it goes from them suing Underwood Farms for $1.5 million to Underwood Farms suing them for $23 million and winning in court.
Shit.
It was perfect. Perfect.
And this is what caused that magical time like 10 years ago, 2016, 2017, where nobody could find Sriracha on any shelves anywhere. And if you could, it was like this weird different color. It didn't taste the same. It was all because it wasn't the same. The whole thing with Sriracha was they had fresh red jalapeno peppers that were grown in California in a particular part of the world that were plucked, transferred to the factory, and turned into hot sauce in 6 hours flat. It was literally a multi-billion-dollar money printing machine with a beautiful backstory with two hard-ass working men on a handshake agreement that built a fucking empire together, and the entire thing was harpooned by one stupid it's greed. It's pure greed. Like, why? Everybody was winning. It wasn't broke. Why would you try to fix it? You've got some moron that didn't build this company whispering in your ear like, oh yeah,
we all have mansions. We're all rich as shit, but you could have a little bit bigger mansion and be a little bit more rich if you fucked over all your friends.
And then you blew up the entire thing. Congratulations. So yeah, that's why you couldn't find Sriracha on the shelves 10 years ago, and that's why the Sriracha today tastes a little bit different. Oh, but you know the funny part? You know what Underwood Farms did after they won the $23 million lawsuit with Sriracha? They turned around and started making their own Sriracha, and guess what they called it? Fucking Sriracha, because you can't trademark the word Sriracha. So now, made with Underwood Farms with the actual chili peppers, you can get Underwood Farms Sriracha, and I'm gonna be honest, it tastes very similar to the original Sriracha, but it's a little bit spicier, and I kind of like it more. So, yeah.
Nice.
I found my Sriracha.
We love this country. Man, talk about having it all and wanting more, and in your greed for more, you lose it all. Fucking crazy. Alright, chat, we have one more video to react to today. I hesitated for a little bit, but, you know, reviewing the manifesto of what may very well be an unhinged maniac, sort of the guise of an angry, yelly military veteran who also is a cop, might be a little bit fun. So, without further ado, from Angry Carp, yes, his name is Angry Carp. No, from Angry Cops, posted 3 days ago, Manifesto of a Moron, Strange Ramblings of a Would-Be Assassin.
Cole Allen, the would-be assassin that went after Trump and his cabinet during the White House Correspondents' Dinner on April 25th, wrote a manifesto, and it is interesting. I mean, yes, obviously a manifesto from somebody crazy enough to try and run into a room with some of the most heavily armed, well-trained security manifesto from somebody crazy enough to try and run into a
Look at that.
room with some of the most heavily armed, well-trained security force the world has ever seen is probably a little off. But if I were to say the words goofy, as in silly, like the cartoon kind of goofy, would those words pop into your mind when it comes to a manifesto? No, not usually. I think when everybody hears the word manifesto, they think like Unabomber, somebody that's so interested and focused on one goal or against one thing that they spew a whole bunch of like interesting doctrine brought from so-and-so and so-and-so. Eco-political ideas, socio-capitalistic, communism, whatever. And not ending your manifesto in, and I quote, cold force, friendly federal assassin Allen. Yes, he gave himself his own nickname. I'm not kidding. Cold Force. This kid's gotta be, oh my God. Who makes up their own nicknames? But before we go any further,
yeah, that's a little weird.
I know that this video is likely going to be demonetized, so let's quickly hear a word from our sponsors, shall we? Raid Shadow Legend.
Yeah, okay, well, you know what? I would be okay, but then you gave me Raid Shadow Legend.
And meet me, see you on the battlefield. All right, we're back. Let's hear what Cold Force Allen has to say to us in his manifesto. God help us. I'm going to make fun of this man so hard. Okay, let's go. Hello, everybody. We're just starting off with hello, everybody. What literature class did this guy take where that's how you start a series?
Is this, did he watch Avatar? Okay, first of all, wasn't this dude a tutor or a teacher or something? Like, I want us to listen to this quote-unquote manifesto and think, could this have come from a teacher or a tutor? Because that's what this man was.
This piece of paper. Just, yeah. Ted Kaczynski, when he decided to blow up the federal building in Oklahoma. Hey, gang! So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. I apologize to my parents for saying I had an interview without specifying it was for Most Wanted.
There's no way. There's no way. Shut up. Just, oh my God, damn it. What is this? That first line has me suspicious as already.
My God, he's attempting stand-up comedy in a manifesto.
In a manifesto, yeah.
Where he's going to execute people. I can hear it at like a bad stand-up night. I told my parents I had an interview. Didn't tell them it was for America's Most Wanted.
Yep.
I apologize to my colleagues and students for saying I had a personal emergency. By the time anyone reads this, I probably, most certainly, do need to go to the ER, but I can hardly call that not a self-inflicted status. Oddly enough, taken without being shot. So, take that!
That's weird. I mean, the dude rushed past, armed with a shotgun, apparently allegedly got a shot off and struck an officer in the vest. Why did not every agent and officer immediately light him up a million times? Or they discharged their weapons and they missed. I don't know which is worse.
Law enforcement treats white people nicer than other minorities people. This is an African-American man, all right, trying to kill the president, shooting rounds off, not a bruise to be seen. I apologize to all the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handled my luggage, and all the other non-targeted people at the hotel who I put in danger simply by being near. I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this, to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this, to all who may still suffer after, regardless of my success or failure. Hold on, yes, let's read that first part again. I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this. For what? He's like everybody that was murdered in the we're talking about like World War II. John F. Kennedy. We're apologizing for every murder out there.
Yes, every murder.
And abused. What does abuse have to do with this? In what way are you responsible for that you would apologize for it? The only black guy I know with white guilt. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I'll be here all night. I don't expect forgiveness, but if I could have seen any other way to get this close, I would have taken it. Again, my sincerest apologies. On to why I did any of this. Now that he's apologized for every murder that's ever happened and all the abuse that's ever gone on, I guess now we can get down to the nitty-gritty. I am a citizen of the United States of America. What my representatives do reflects on me. And I am no longer willing to permit a rapist and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. I don't know what that means. How is he coating your hands with his crimes? How are your hands coated with anything? I feel like this is him trying to say like my hands are coated in the blood of innocence because I've allowed this to happen, which might have been a better way of saying it instead of he coat my hands with his crimes, which I don't think you can do.
Hey, look, nobody coat my hands with their crimes, please.
Look, my hand is coated in crime. Well, to be completely honest, I was no longer willing a long time ago, but this is the first real opportunity I've had to do something about it. Your first real
why are you using parentheses? That's so weird.
Opportunity to do anything about all these things that you said is to make a Naruto run through a metal detector. All right. While I'm discussing this, what is with these? This is a horrible use of parentheses, by the way. While I'm discussing this, I'll also go over my expected rules of engagement, probably in a terrible
Your expected rules of engagement.
Format, but I'm not military, so too bad. Oh, that's nice. He's going over his expected rules of engagement. ROE, good to have, good to know. What is it? Shoot president, don't shoot everybody else, only president get shot? We'll find out. Administration officials, not including Mr. Patel. They are wait a second, not including Mr. Patel. We're going after the whites here?
What? Not including Mr. Patel? Why did you... No, Rahime, was that what you're talking about? That was kind of weird. I'm gonna shoot everybody except for Mr. Patel. First of all, no one's ever called him Mr. Patel. It's always been Cash Patel. What the fuck?
We're just blanket sweeping the whites? What about the black representative? Oh, I forget his name. Isn't he a cabinet member? We're just killing whitey here? Racist. They are targets, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. Secret Service. They are targets only if necessary, and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible. AKA, I hope they're wearing body armor because center mass with shotguns messes up people who aren't. What is this written by a 12-year-old girl in English class?
Yeah,
also,
seriously.
AKA, also known as, I hope they're wearing body armor. This is your manifesto? Lol, LOL, I hope they're wearing body armor because bullets sting. Lols, ROFL. IDK! How am I gonna survive? IDK! Hotel security, not targets if at all possible. AKA, unless they shoot at me. Oh my god, AKA again? AKA, you should have just brought an AK, is what you should have brought. Show up with a shotgun and a pistol, thinking that he's gonna blow through everybody like this is some sort of Boondock Saints clip where they're hanging upside down, throwing Berettas and shotgunning every Italian on a couch. What hotel security is gonna be popular? Listen, of all the security, I think hotel security is probably the least that you gotta worry about, my guy. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. Noted. National Guard, same as hotel security. Well, it's nice to know he's really trying to figure out all the different security elements that could possibly be there, which would make one think, I've just listed a whole bunch of people that are currently securing the area. I might not have a snowball's chance in hell at this.
Yeah,
Hotel
no, for
employees, no targets at all. Guests, no targets at all. Well, you say that, but wait. In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshot rather than slugs. Less penetration through walls. Oh my God. Listen, I'm not a munitions expert here. Okay. But if you're trying to minimize collateral damage, all right, and you're saying I'll go with buckshot instead of a slug.
Doesn't that have more?
Slug is one thing
spread?
going one direction, right?
Yeah.
Buckshot, many things spreading out further over time going in one direction.
Yeah, that's
so if you go to
more
shoot
damage.
JD Vance with the slug, you'll hit JD Vance. If you go to shoot, well, not Cash Patel, because nope, we can't around people. This guy is it's a racist assassin. We'll go with RFK Jr. as if his family hasn't had enough attempts on them. With buckshot, you might hit RFK Jr. with buckshot, but you'll also probably be smattering a couple of the people around him. Isn't there like a CNN news analyst right next to him? You'll be clipping with buckshot. Like I said, the science of ammunition is not my thing. I'm no ammunitionologist. But tell me I'm wrong if that's not a dumb thing to say and that he doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. Just saying. I would still go through most everyone here to get to the targets if it were absolutely necessary, on the basis that most people choose to attend a speech by a rapist and traitor and thus complicit, but I really hope it doesn't come to that. Once again, 3 sentences above, guests, no targets at all. 3 sentences later, I will still go through most everyone to get here on the basis that most people chose to attend and are thus complicit. Oh, the ramblings of a madman. Rebuttals to objections. Interesting. He's already answering some of our questions here. What does he think the public might want to know? Objection 1. As a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Oh, okay. Rebuttal. Interesting. Turning the other cheek is when you yourself are oppressed. I'm not the person raped in a detention camp. What are we talking about? I'm not the fisherman executed without trial. Are you talking about the cartel drug boats? Jesus, that's a stretch. Tell me you watch CNN in a bubble and nothing else without telling me. Wow. I'm not a school kid blown up or a child starved or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration. Turning the other cheek when someone else is oppressed is not Christian behavior. It is complicity in the oppressor's crimes.
Yeah, we're gonna pause it there. I'm gonna let all of chat just mull over that while I BRB again. I have to go grab the biscuits that I put in the oven.
Oh, there's a lot to break down in there. All right, yeah, you know, the Epstein thing, there's p***s everywhere, and nobody's gone to jail yet. Oh, yeah, everybody's upset with that, you know, and we should be voting people out, 100%. Do I think that it's a massive cover-up? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I do. But I'm trapped in New York. It doesn't matter that I've never, ever voted for Chuck Schumer. He's still getting in. Objection 2. This is not a convenient time for you to do this. Which, it's really, you know, it's early spring. We've got the summer. We were going to go to Great Wolf Lodge in May. No, he messed it all up. It's really not a good time. Let's see why. Rebuttal. I need whoever thinks this way to take a couple minutes and realize that the world isn't about them. Do you think that when I see someone raped or murdered or abused, I should walk on by because it would be inconvenient for people who aren't the victim? This was the best timing and chance of success I could come up with. This was the best time. What were the other options that you thought of before you decided with, I have to go on a train from LA to Chicago to DC to try and take out the president and his cabinet? And the time is now. Objection 3. You didn't get them all. Rebuttal. Gotta start somewhere. Well, he's a glass half full kind of assassin. Should I say a glass half dead? A body half cold? Objection 4. As a half black, half white person, you shouldn't be the one doing this. What does race have to do with anything? Rebuttal. I don't see anyone else picking up the slack. This just sounds like a disgruntled dad at some tradesman. Well, nobody else is gonna do it, so I better go on and do it. This isn't some chore about moving trash around or having to fix a hole in the drywall. You're choosing to do this. Well, yeah, I don't see anybody else doing it, so I gotta pick up their slack. So says Cole. Objection 5. Yield unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Nobody's... What? No, that is definitely an objection that I never in 100 years would have ever thought anybody would have said. Let's see his rebuttal to a thing that nobody asked. The United States of America are ruled by law, not by any one or several people. Insofar as representatives and judges do not follow the law, no one is required to yield them anything so unlawfully ordered. I would also like to extend my appreciation to a great many people, since I will not be likely to be able to talk with them again. How does a guy at he went to Caltech for like machinery, didn't he? He was mechanical engineering. Yeah, all right, not a literary major, but nonetheless, college writing classes need to be standardized. Good Lord. At least if you're gonna be crazy, at least let us try to read and understand the crazy. Unless the Secret Service is astoundingly incompetent, which I believe you learned they are not. Thank you to my family, both personal and church, for the love over these 31 years. Thank you to my friends for your companionship over many years. Thank you to my colleagues over many jobs for your positivity and professionalism. Thank you to my students for your enthusiasm and love of learning. Thank you to so many acquaintances I've met in person and online for short interactions and long-term relationships, for your perspectives and inspiration. Thank you for everything. Sincerely, Cole Cold Force, Friendly Federal Assassin Allen. 2 nicknames. Outstanding.
Welcome to the chat, Benji.
Tell me you're a incel without telling me you're an incel. This guy spends way too much time on Roblox trying to talk to children. And I'm not saying like to do anything sexual with them, but just to like berate them. Do you know who we have in the White House?
Oh yeah, so he's what's the guy's called? The Faithful Sheriff? I'm sorry. I was a little
Sir, I'm
rude.
12 years old playing Fortnite. I really just, I don't know. You don't know who we voted for. We're complicit. Sir, I have gym tomorrow. This is over my head. P.S. Of course there's a P.S. This is a handwritten note from a 12-year-old high school girl. P.S. Okay, now that all the sappy stuff is done, what the hell is Secret Service doing? Sorry, gonna rant a bit on here and drop the formal tone. Oh, yeah, the formal tone. That's been here the entire time, AKA, no it hasn't. Do you see how I took your AKA and put it in there unironically? Ironically? This guy's making me dumber. Like I expected, security cameras at every bend, bugged hotel rooms, armed agents every 10 feet, metal detectors out the wazoo. Well, you ran through one of them, so I mean, prematurely written here, bud. What I got? Who knows? Maybe they're pranking me. Is nothing. No damn security, not in transport, not in the hotel, Not in the event. Secret Service isn't going to be going on every train, looking at every person, patting them down throughout the United States. They do footprints, they do outer, inner cordons. You barely breached the outer cordon. Like, the one thing that I immediately noticed walking into the hotel is the sense of arrogance. I walk in with multiple weapons and not a single person there considers the possibility that I could be a threat. So now we're supposed to act like every half white and black guy that comes into a hotel is just toting guns now? Racist. You're racist, Cole. You're racist. We should just assume the black guy coming into the hotel on DC from the train, an economical mode of transportation. They are absolutely gun-toting criminals, here to kill us all, probably rob our purses, punch random Asians on the streets of New York City. The security at the event is all outside, focused on protesters and current arrivals, because apparently no one thought about what happens if someone checks in the day before. No, bud. They probably did. That's why they had the inner and outer cordons, and you made it 20 feet past the first checkpoint after you walked through a door, which, by the way, here's video of a dog that, like, alerted to him. I want to say alerted to him because I'm not the dog's handler, but the dog was interested in him when he went in and out of this door frame. Door walked away, and then he sprints through the first cordon, and is taken down immediately. Like, this level of incompetence is insane, and I very sincerely hope it's corrected by the time this country gets actually competent leadership again. Brother, it was corrected immediately. Once again, you got 10 feet past the metal detector, and then we're taken down. The arrogance of this guy. He's talking about people being arrogant. The security, they're so arrogant. They don't even know I'm armed. You got taken down 20 feet without even getting shot, you lucky Like, if I was an Iranian agent instead of an American citizen, I could have brought a damn Ma Deuce in here and no one would have noticed. Dude, there's a difference between the Fourth Amendment, meaning you are reasonably secure in your personal items and in your property so that you're not illegally searched. You know, just, hey, black guy that came into a hotel and he searched you real quick. That's around, so you're not harassed by anybody. That doesn't mean that you can just walk in anywhere at any point in time, start murking people with a massive gun. Actually insane. Coming from you, that's rich. Oh, and if anyone is curious is how doing something like this feels, it's awful. I want to throw up. I want to cry for all the things I wanted to do and never will. For all the people whose trust this betrays, I experience rage thinking about everything this administration has done. Can't really recommend it. Stay in school, kids. I mean, yes, stay in school, but I can think of a million things that were far more impactful on any other election or political, whatever it was, transition than just running and gunning. Listen, if you don't like somebody in political office, try to vote them out. Start a rally. Find a like-minded group of individuals like you and have protests. Fundraise. If your first instinct, I don't know if it was Cold Force Allen's first instinct to just like, I'm gonna go get a train ticket. I think this kid's autistic. I'm gonna go get a train ticket, bring a couple firearms, log into the hotel, and then I'm going to go rush the stage where the president's at. That'll be my first inclination in order to fix this world. Yes, I think that's appropriate. If that's the first thing you're thinking of to try and solve the world's problems because you don't like a politician that's in office for 4 years at a time, by the way, you're nuts. Yeah. And obviously, I think we can tell that Cole is not so Cold Force cool as he thought he was.
Yeah, I think that's more or less, yeah. Yeah, that's what's going on there. Yeah, I haven't actually read the whole manifesto, so this was a good way to, digest it. My gosh, that's crazy. That is all the content we have as well. 3 hours of streaming, being interrupted a whole bunch of times, but that's fine. Thank you to everyone who hung out with me and reacted to this content. It was a pretty good time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell as hard as you possibly can. And don't forget to join us in Rumble in about an hour where we're going to be watching a couple movies for the next couple months. I mean, not months, next couple weeks. Mama Oko has a 3-part anime series that was like, the series was turned into a movie, and we're going to watch part 1 of, there's 3 parts out right now, and there's 1 part that's going to be coming out at some point, I think either this year or next year. So, check that out. Let's go ahead and figure out who we're going to raid you guys out into. Looks like, Doki Bird, Salvatore. Let's, you know what? Let's read it out in Dodoki. Alright, guys, I will talk to y'all later.